Surprise! We are together and we are doing another podcast. So we've got Em
and Joe
and some special guests with us this time around. It's Shannon.
Hi, it's Kayla. I'm a dumbass.
So, as always, here's your little administrivia. Thanks, Kayla, for that lovely wake-up call. As most of you know, we have an order that we've kind of put together without you guys this time, so it's going to be a little bit weird for us, I think. We have an order, we have an agenda, we're going to talk about a whole bunch of different things. So, as always, my OCD will make me tag everything for you guys, whether it's in the Tumblr post or up on YouTube, but there will be a list of timestamps for you. And otherwise, I don't think there's actually any warnings. I will say I'm a little sniffly, so in pure podcaster form, I'm going to apologize for the sniffles that will happen over the course of this adventure, but otherwise, we should get going.
we are in Vancouver.
That is true.
Woo!
The four of us, somehow magically managed to make schedules work and travel work, which we'll get to, because there's literally a question here that is, what kind of harrowing experiences did we have?
Did anyone have a harrowing experience getting here?
Oh.
Kayla may start.
So, just to be clear, I was coming out of the Philadelphia suburbs, and I think that gives me like 100-ish miles over M in terms of like sheer distance to cover in a day.
I was also a direct flight.
Yeah.
Like, I'm out of this conversation completely. When we get to me, I get to brag, which is pretty fucked up. So
Yeah. We're not going to throw things at M. We're just going to know that Kayla, at various points when M was like checking in and everything was magically falling into place, Kayla was maybe contemplating murder. But the important thing was, okay, Philly. I had a 5:30 a.m. flight, Philly to Chicago.
disgusting.
Gross.
Okay.
5:30 in the morning is not a time.
So I was up by 3 to shower and to do last minute things and get myself. I hit Philadelphia by 4:15. Quite possibly that is the longest security line I've ever seen, because that was December 28th. Fun fact, I have literally been trying to leave a country when the Pope was also trying to leave the country and everyone in security was on strike. This was longer at Philadelphia. It was obscene.
Do you just have bad plane luck? Like, do airports just hate you?
Somebody hates me. I don't know if it's the airport. Okay, so listen. We somehow clear security in time. We somehow get myself boarded. Initially, we go to take off. We're running on time. Okay, we might even get in early. And then they say, okay, something's wrong in the cargo hold. We need to shift things around to be like FAA compliant. So it'll be 10 minutes at the gate. I'm like, okay, fine, chill, whatever. Please note that from Chicago, I have 56 minutes before my flight to Seattle takes off. We didn't make it. Somehow it turned from a 10-minute baggage issue into an hour-long medical issue, despite no one actually coming on the damn plane. No one getting off. Legitimately, it was the shadiest fucking thing. We're trying to make up time in flight. About the only good bit of travel luck I had yesterday was there were about 7 to 10 people, I never got a final head count, who were trying to catch that Chicago to Seattle flight. There was one that left about 3.5 hours later that had 2 seats open. The nice thing about being young and packing relatively light, I could haul ass to the gate and get rebooked before everyone else showed up. So I got one of the 2 seats remaining on that flight. It sucked. It was quite possibly the worst seat back there. But
it was a seat.
It was a seat. Unfortunately, that meant that once I had that confirmed, I had to rebook the thing from Seattle to Vancouver. Part of the reason I originally made this plan was I have family out in Seattle who weren't going to come home to the East Coast when I booked these tickets. So I thought originally, let's take a half day. Let's be in Seattle. And then life happened. They miraculously got the time off, so they were back in New Jersey for Christmas. And I'm low-key a little pissed at the universe. Just because, I was trying to do good things and see family. But yeah, so there was turbulence. There were medical issues. When we touched down in Chicago, by the way, it had been so turbulent that we had 3 people start vomiting once we were on solid ground, and they set up sympathy pukers. So it was just all around really terrible. The flight to Seattle was turbulent as all hell. I think I whined a lot in the group chat because it just legitimately, And I'm lucky I've got a pretty strong stomach, but there was legitimately a moment where I'm like, okay, this is how we go.
Mine was always my head. Turbulent flights knock my head askew.
It just,
Yeah.
it was a disaster. So we get to Seattle. We've had to shift from a train to a bus to get me here in a decent hour of time. And then it doesn't show up, and it doesn't show up, and I'm whining to the group chat of like, oh, where is this damn bus? Because at this point, I've been away for 17, 18 hours in transit for most of them. I'm still in the wrong country, and I just wanted a bed. Wrong country for where you all were. I do have strong...
Yeah, we're going to leave the politics away.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
As the sole Canadian of this motley crew.
Yeah. So the bus does eventually show up. We do eventually get on. It takes forever to clear customs and borders, by which I mean it just takes longer than the 30 seconds I wanted it to take. We talked World Juniors to the security guy, and he just kind of smiled at me like these crazy dumbass Americans. I don't know. He was giving me a face.
Oh, probably because we're a girl talking junior hockey.
Yeah.
You're in the West Coast. Like, I love my country, but sometimes we're full of assholes.
Yeah. So eventually we did clear the border, and we did eventually get to downtown Vancouver. And then I did eventually find a cab to bring me here.
Mm-hmm.
But when I showed up, I was quite possibly the most punch drunk in terms of time difference, exhaustion, residual stress that you have. So I made a great first impression.
Low-key thought you were ready to punch me. I'm going to point that out right now. So the other thing that is relevant to point out is Kayla and I are the only ones that traveled from the East Coast. And when you come from Eastern Standard Time to Pacific Standard Time, you're coming 3 hours. So it's one of those things where, like, I too had the 3-hour thing, and my bedtime is very particular. Like, I have a pretty set sleeping schedule. So even by the time Kayla got here, the three of us were also out of whack.
Yeah.
We'd watched the Leaf game, number one, which is a time. And we'd already caught, like, 2 periods of the U.S.-Kazakhstan game. So we were full hockey. Like, we'd had food. We were a little nuts.
Yeah.
A little nuts too. Yeah,
So,
it was.
I lost my marbles.
I think at one point we literally knocked Joe off the couch with the laughing and the hugging.
Yeah, you guys.
No, it was Shannon that fell.
I
was Shannon
retreated
that
to the
fell off
bathroom.
the
It was
couch.
safe there. There was warm water and a shower.
Yeah. Everyone else's travel experiences were very tame compared to that. I mean, I did have to get up at but 1:00 in the morning to get to Chicago for my flight, but that was nothing.
Thank you all for coming to my country again, because I didn't have to bring a passport, no customs. Security was a pain in the ass, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Security was actually really relaxed for me. It was everything else that went to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah.
Funny story about security, though, at O'Hare. I forgot to take this podcast microphone out of my suitcase, which I was supposed to do. So then my suitcase was flagged going through, and I went, it was the microphone. So then when the security guy starts unzipping my bag, I go, it's the microphone, isn't it? And he goes, oh, is that what it is? I couldn't figure it out from the scan. What are you, a podcaster or something? And I went,
maybe.
something like that, yes.
It's a little more complicated than that.
I mean, my travel experience wasn't terrible. I just had to get up stupid early, and considering that over 3 days off from work for Christmas, I also managed to completely screw up my sleep schedule. I was running on like less than 4 hours of sleep, so that's part of the reason why I just lost it by the time Kayla got here last night.
I think I started crying on you at one point.
I think you thought about it. I don't think you got there.
I think the reason I tried to
think
see
you
her laugh.
seriously considered it.
Well, no, Kayla's eyes went teary for a moment, and I went full-on panic, and that is why I went to hug her, and that is why Shannon ended up falling off the couch.
No, I tried to slip off the couch. I mean, you had room, and then we all just fell.
It escalated quickly, is what we're saying. Which, story
Surprise.
of everything we've ever done together. So there's that. Yeah, no, I can't complain at all. I'm a spoiled, rotten child is the moral of my story over here. Well, I couldn't even, the worst part is, Kayla, like, I couldn't say shit in the group chat, because honestly, I was losing my mind. I don't know if it so I flew out on my mom's points because my mom has travel points and she has a boatload of points, and there's all sorts of like going out of business, not associated, a whole bunch of shit going on there. But like, I walk onto the plane and I realize the old first class seats are my seats.
Aww.
So I'm very used to regular economy, so I was prepared to be cramped for 5 straight hours because it's a direct flight. No, they gave me food. They gave me snacks. Like, it's the polar opposite. I know. And this was the thing. Like, I couldn't say. The thing of it is I'm sitting there and I'm doing this. Like, I must have looked like an idiot to the flight attendants, which is fine. I don't care. But like, it was the most mind-boggling flight. I had 2 bottles of water waiting for me. I had nobody beside me. Like, honestly, I had the polar opposite of your experience, and I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So I could be mad. I'm just gonna be grateful that like someone actually had like functioning brain power to show up and get the Airbnb sorted out in terms of settling in. Because then that meant I could just show up a human tire fire and people would hug me and hand me tea.
We didn't hand you tea, but
we
the
hugged
hugs
you.
happened.
Someone handed me a drink of something.
I gave you boozy cranberries. That's what I did.
I was handed something and I ate that and that was good.
We've had many a conversation about how chill Canadian border crossing is.
So the good news is for my return, I am not flying back to Philly, and so I have a direct flight to DC.
That's good.
So we're going to hope I can get myself back into the United States. And we are going to hope that I don't do anything stupid in the Seattle airport. Because pretty much once I get on this flight,
You're not going to do anything stupid in the... Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. So, we are going to move on. Not that I want to belittle anybody's harrowing experiences. Why did we come to Vancouver? Because it's not at all in any way, shape, and or form central to any of us. We all traveled thousands of kilometers or miles or whatever. I don't know
I
what
left
is.
warm Texas to come here. It was warm when I left. It was like in the 60s.
we were
Fahrenheit.
hitting the 50s.
It's
It was
warmer
wild.
here than it is in Toronto. Weather is weird. But the moral of the story is about a year ago-ish, I think. Anyway, time is weird. I got an email from Hockey Canada that was like, yo, by the way, World Juniors is in Vancouver and Victoria. And we didn't think it was going to happen. Kayla was like, we're going to do it. And so we're here.
Yes, Kayla was the star who basically was like, so,
And a
I'm
blessed
booking
soul.
tickets. What games are we seeing? And basically got the rest of us in gear.
Yeah.
Which, given the tire fire that was my semester, is heavily appreciated.
Yeah. And I like to say part of the reason I did the early planning was so that I could tap out and be like, someone else sort out food where the hell the grocery store is and just...
I got you!
Yes.
I got you! This is my backy side kicking in as opposed to the
Lord.
regular Ovi side.
Yeah.
We'll get to that later.
Maybe. We maybe don't want to get to that side at all, but we'll see.
There's
We'll
only
see
so
where the
much our
wind
dignity
takes
can
us.
take.
Depends which person you ask.
What dignity?
Have you listened
Someone
to
would-
the previous podcast?
Okay, someone has to have dignity. We may not have a lot of it, but
I
between the
mean,
four of us...
combined, we might have enough dignity to get us through a day, but like, I legitimately, last podcast, it was something what was the Taylor Hall thing?
Was it about his mouth?
No.
No, but
It had to do with thirst, because that's how it spawned multiple other ideas that
She was
we might surprise you
thirsty.
with later.
The woman was thirsty. We'll just
Yeah,
leave
but
it
we
at
all
that.
know it was snacks. It was snacks. We were talking about snacks.
Oh, right.
That's what
Yeah.
it was, and my response was Taylor Hall. Like, honestly, what is shame? I don't know at this point. The point is, we are in Vancouver, and we are in Vancouver for World Juniors,
Yes, that is a thing.
which is super duper exciting. So we saw 4 games by my count.
Yes.
We're going to do them in reverse order due to emotional concerns and all of those involved. So when we started, we had no idea what we were seeing for the quarterfinal. Shook out, we saw Canada-Finland, which if you ever want to watch a heartbreaker of a game live,
Oh my God.
that game is a good one to start with. Actually, I say that as a patriotic Canadian, and there were times, kids, there were times.
I'm surprised I didn't get bruises from how often my leg was clutched, but you know.
There was a reason I sat next to Joe and not to M.
Okay, in my defense, I did not clutch that bad.
No. I think we were worse during World Cup of Hockey.
Like, you guys were worse than I was for a lot of that game.
It wasn't until things happened in the third period that M.
Oh yeah, then I lost my mind. So by the time this is going up, the tournament will have happened, so no spoilers here, because if there are spoilers, I'm glad you hibernated through Christmas holidays. Be safe, be healthy, kids. So Canada led better part of what, a period probably time-wise, like give or take 20 minutes of a hockey game, they managed to lead. It took them a while to get the lead.
But it was too late into the second.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
Point is, they scored. We're not going to look up the box score. We'll save you guys that level of detail. Everybody was great. Everybody was happy. Everybody was like, just an insurance goal. And doesn't Finland tie it with, what was it even?
It was like 45 seconds or something left.
And it was the luckiest of tying goals. Like, if there was a star of that game, and one of you does not say Michael DiPietro, you are wrong.
Oh, hands down, it's Michael DiPietro.
He was amazing.
We can add another player to the list of random reasons Shannon enjoys the Vancouver Canucks.
No, it's okay. We're adopting into Emily's home of wayward hockey children.
Ah, fantastic.
At this point, I'm scared to do a head count of Emily's Home for Wayward Hockey Children, but I trust that you know who all is there.
We're hiring staff. Don't worry about it. And it was absolutely heartbreaking to have the team fail him in overtime. Mm-hmm. Actually, I shouldn't say that, because we have now all not seen but are aware of what is happening on social media. And I'll save the soapbox because we don't need to do that. Things happen, and things happen in elimination games, which are like elimination games, that are extremely sad and extremely heartbreaking. And I came out of that game going, Michael DiPietro deserved better. And I still firmly believe that. It is the unluckiest of unlucky that game-winning goal went off of Cody Glass's stick.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know whose stick it was, but I also saw through Twitter somebody's stick broke, which I think caused the turnover, if I'm reading things right. Because Finland pretty much had a breakaway.
It was, and look, the Finns played hard, and they played solid defense. I would, argue that Canada started kind of sleeping, but I said to Kayla literally 20 minutes ago, Canada has an unfortunate habit of underestimating opponents.
Mm-hmm. And we had talked as we were leaving the rink that there are certain opponents that you cannot have one or two goals as a lead. You need more.
Yeah.
And it was a situation where, seriously, Finnish defensive play in that game was impressed, because how many times did that arena lose its mind?
Oh my God.
Thinking Canada was going to do something, and then Finland's like,
Only for Finland to just go, not today.
And it's not even like it was a goalkeeper thing. Like, the defense was there.
It
The
was
sticks
amazing.
were active. They were cutting off
blocking
lanes.
shots.
Like,
there was a lot of hustling back, because that was the one thing that just about killed me during the second and most of the third period. It felt like Finland was constantly trying to get out of their own zone, and it took them a while to get out of their own zone. But while they were in their own zone, they shut shit down.
it would have been nice to see Canada take a couple of shots and maybe knock in a greasy one or two. Because I think that was kind of frustrating to watch sometimes. Is it really felt like they were trying to net the perfect goal.
And not just get a goal.
You can't do pretty in elimination games.
Not all the time. I mean, sometimes it works out for you when you get an opponent and you can do the pretty goals, but this was not that game. Finland was always going to come out and always going to play them hard. And Shannon, wasn't it you that said Finland had beat them in pre-tourney?
Yes, so Finland did beat Canada in pre-tourney. I believe it was December 23rd was the game. I don't know the final score, but I saw it beforehand. Finland beat Canada in the pre-tourney. And that doesn't always mean that you're going to go on throughout the tournament to do as well, because some of the bigger teams or the teams that have a record of doing well at World Juniors will sleep a little bit through the pre-tourney games so they can save it for the actual tournament and the elimination games, but you still got to take that into account, and you've got to be able to look and see what could we have done differently.
Well, and to your point, you know, it's like when you know you're facing them a second time, you already have the first game to play off of. So you should, in theory, have a better game plan coming in. Neither here nor there. Michael DiPietro deserves the world. And Vancouver, you are going to be blessed to have him. And I think the best summary post I saw of that game was Michael DiPietro deserves the same treatment that Carter Hart got. And Mikey stood on his head. We'll link for you guys a Twitter... Well, it's a tweet. It's not a Twitter thing. It's a tweet.
It's a video.
And it's a video from the TSN broadcast of the moment the arena started chanting DiPietro's name and his mother bawling. Because we are all emotionally compromised, so we're absolutely handing it off to you guys.
And I will say this as an American who's like, I'm not going to be emotionally invested in this game. When that building got behind Mikey, you could feel it, and I swear to God, I lost hearing because I was surrounded by a lot of Canadians who just really, in that moment in time, loved and appreciated Mikey. And I swear to God, if that dude next to me yelled any louder, we would be at the ER instead of recording a podcast.
Yeah,
Legit.
he was really loud. He was really into the game.
I'm gonna joke that I was using my honorary Canadian citizenship on this game because I was screaming my head off like I was born and raised here.
Same.
Yeah, that happens when there are children involved.
Ian Mitchell scored a really nice goal for Canada, so I'm gonna just take that with pride.
Yeah, it was a shockingly emotional game, I think, for all of us. There's a lot of really quality narratives on that team. I mean, this isn't a team that you necessarily want all of the best narratives on so much as you want to make sure that it's the best people coming out of the country. But we can't have everything, or so I'm told, which I think is bullshit.
You can have it, but you
I'm
have to fit it into
Canadian.
a carry-on and a checked bag.
Both of my checked bags are complimentary, and I get 2 carry-ons. So that's what I was going to say. You, Taylor. I remember now. No. Okay, so we are setting up for this game. And we've just watched Kazakhstan and Denmark, which we'll get to momentarily, I promise. Because that was also a shockingly emotional game. But we're getting prepared for this game. And Kayla says, you know what would be great? Is the most chaos. Okay? And what she means is she would like to see some upset games in the finale or the flying quarterfinals, whatever game we're watching. Who cares? The point of the matter is we sit down for the Canada game and Switzerland's beating Sweden 2-0. And I'm going, great. Okay, there's Kayla's chaos. She can go home happy. And then the Canada game happens. And again, like, listen, they played hard, they played well. It was a good game to watch, and I said to the girls here earlier, for me, this is probably the best hockey environment I've ever been in, and I was at the Centennial Classic. This is better. This was better from start to finish. OT for the Centennial Classic was insane. This was that OT for, God, how long were we there? 2 hours?
Yeah.
And it really is, it was heartwarming and emotionally compromising to see a nation come together like that.
And I will say, I was very impressed by the attendance we had because this was, a 3:30 p.m. puck drop on a Wednesday. I wasn't sure how many people would have off, the ability to get tickets, because it was very last minute. We booked these tickets a while ago. We had no idea who we were seeing, but the sheer volume of Canadians that showed the fuck up and were ready and willing to go for it. I saw a lot of incredible people who were just thrilled to be there. I got the sense that some people had taken off work last minute, had done what they had to do to be there. This was very much a crowd that was thrilled to have Canada. And it was heartwarming to see.
We love our children.
Yes. And I encourage you to remember that love for your children as we look at social media. Be kind or shut up.
And I mean,
there's our soapbox for the day.
Oh yeah. And I mean, and I'll preface this by saying somebody who's so into and such a fan of international sports and is incredibly passionate about it. Never been to an international sporting game or tournament before. I want to go to like 5 more this year because that environment was, and I'll agree with Em here, probably the best that I've been in for a hockey game. And I went to the 2017 Winter Classic in St. Louis, and that was a lot of fun, and it was definitely a fun environment, but this was like, just hearing the chants, you just couldn't help but join in.
They're almost
Speak
two
for
different
yourself.
environments in a lot of ways because you've got the national stage,
Yeah.
right? And the Winter Classic is set to be fun. Like they want it to be. This meant something.
Yeah.
And it meant something to both teams. Like, don't get me wrong, this isn't one-sided by any extent of the imagination. And the way you could feel it in the arena.
It was
And-
electrifying. Like chills down the spine,
Goosebumps.
heart racing, just getting in with the chance. Also, yes, being American, but just being like, well, we're
here.
We're along for this ride. For
Joe and
sure.
Shannon yelled louder than I did, and I'm an incredibly loud human being.
Pretty certain I'm not going to have a voice tomorrow. It's okay.
I'm not sure any of
Sacrifices have
these
to be
3
made.
will have a voice tomorrow. You guys got loud. I just kind of sat there. I was like, oh my god, what's happening?
She was too busy hoping for chaos.
Which she got.
Oh,
I
she
think-
got awesome.
In my defense, I was very frustrated with the Finnish play. Their defensive play was good, but I'm like, as I said to Joe, Finland, I know you're known for your goalies, but I know for a fact that you have a goal scorer on that team. It would be great if you could find him and throw him on the ice.
We only had one for what it's worth. So for a team that was supposed to have maybe more than one, we only managed to net one. Now he had to pick the one with one of the most heartbreaking narratives, but we can't have everything in life. Do not. I will cry.
Nope, we're not going to
We
bring it
are
up.
going to move.
We'll
can
link
Google
you
it
to
yourself.
a tweet because speaking of very heartwarming performances, the relegation game we saw this morning was Kazakhstan and Denmark. And there are kind of 2 very separate storylines going here that are kind of, they end up connecting in the relegation because Kazakhstan and Denmark are, of course, we're in different groups.
So,
The Denmark story.
so the Denmark story was that they had not scored a single goal all tournament, let alone won a thing. And I think at one point we all just kind of agreed, like, please, for the love of God, we just want to hear the Danish goal song, please. Just one goal. They got goals, plural, which
Yeah.
is great for them. And legitimately, I bought a 50-50 ticket before that game. I got talking to some of the volunteers, and they're all like, you know, it was on TSN. Everyone's just hoping and praying. Just one goal. Legitimately, that was a cheer at one point. in
Yes,
the arena.
Yes, it was great.
It was.
So
Just some dude bros in a row going, just one goal.
Thought they were like older, just
They-
hardcore rink rat hockey dudes. Like these are the guys that play beer league hockey on Thursday nights.
yeah, the important thing was, I'm pretty sure that place lost its damn
Oh my
mind
God.
with all like what 6,000,
7, I think.
7,000
It
of
was-
us
yeah,
in there.
I think. Oh, it
When-
might have been less. Anyway,
When Denmark scored, we all collectively lost our mind because we're like,
He scored.
like
and we're
listen,
not all Danish fans. Like there were a lot of people in that arena with
who were
Canadian jerseys on.
Yep.
there was also one dude with a presumably Canadian jersey who had modified it to represent Kazakhstan, which
Is a story. in
is
itself.
yeah.
It was a very emotional day.
Yes.
I will say this: the relegation game. I think we kind of said we want Denmark to have a goal and we want Kazakhstan to win,
Denmark got 2 goals.
and Kazakhstan won. And
We had to sing Sweet Caroline.
a lot.
Yes.
It was great.
So the thing with Kazakhstan was that, came in super underdog.
Like you couldn't get a more underdog of underdogs. Shannon looked it up. Germany is next year. Kazakhstan is like tiers under Germany for
Yeah.
underdog.
yeah.
And so what happened was they were playing in Victoria for the group stage, and Victoria just threw their hearts and souls behind Team Kazakhstan. Their jerseys and all of their merch have been sold out. And just people chanting and cheering for them, singing along to Sweet Caroline in Victoria. And we'll link the articles below.
Absolutely.
But Kayla made herself sad by reading articles in intermission about how happy the Kazakhstan team was with the reception and how
they said they're just never gonna forget it.
Yeah. And this is huge because this is the first time in a decade that Kazakhstan has had a team that was capable of playing at this level. So it was huge for them to win that relegation match at this stage in the game. I don't know if they'll be able to stay up, but I wish them all the best. I think the entire population of Victoria is desperately looking forward to more Kazakhstani.
Yeah, we had that debate. We weren't sure. Listeners,
certain.
help us out. What is the way to say Canadian for Kazakhstan? It's the best relation I could do in a pinch, okay?
Well, my thing is like, it's Pakistan to Pakistani, so I'm like,
Well, and it's Afghan, isn't it? Or is it Afghani? This is where, honestly, I am going to put myself in a hole doing this.
yeah. So we're not going to do this. We're just going to say, the team from Kazakhstan, we wish you more victories. We wish you more goals.
Kayla would like to know where your goalie's going to end up because she would like to start a Kayla's Home for Wayward Hockey Children.
Not Wayward Hockey Children.
She'll have to fight the entire population of Victoria first, though.
And I will do it for him.
No questions asked.
I ain't worried.
I am going home with my goalie.
No.
No, because we do not have the bail.
I have questions.
because of kidnapping charges.
She did
We
not
don't.
say that was her goalie, though, so was she talking about Holtby?
Do we have to bring up that this is another podcast again?
I'm just asking.
Okay,
For science. And a
Okay.
friend who I might have to bail out of jail.
the intent behind that statement was, I am going to go home. I am going to keep tabs on my goalie because he did some really darn good stuff. I was very proud of him.
He was good.
And he's
Well, here's the thing. Kazakhstan pushed Denmark.
They were
absolutely-
scrappy
oh my
as hell.
God, they were so
like
good.
Like, it's not
Kazakhstan had,
like Denmark's been playing poorly. They just haven't been able to finish.
Yeah.
No.
which we're gonna let M have that one, and we're gonna circle back to Kazakhstan. Legitimately, I lost count of how many penalties Kazakhstan got for getting rough and tumble with Denmark. Like, they wanted it. They were hungry. It was legitimately just really
It was a
nice
fun
to
game.
see
It was,
a
yeah.
team
It
that.
was.
I think it was also nice because, like, none of us had skin in the game.
No.
So, like, yeah, good times all around.
We
Goals
gotta talk
and
hockey.
wins.
Also, the Kazakhstan team had a couple of really interesting warm-up habits.
He did.
That, like, I think that's what's really cool. I said to a friend of mine, I want to go to a leaf practice because I want to see how it works. I want to see how they put their stuff together. And I think that was what was really cool about the Kazakhstan warm-ups, because they do this warm-up drill where they all stand on the blue line, and then starting from one side, they kind of loop out to the red line and come back in and take a shot. And I've never seen that done in warm-ups. And I've seen a couple of hockey games in the last 2 years, and never have I ever. And I think Denmark had a much more, I would say, quote-unquote, traditional warm-up where you do the loops, you do the line rushes, you do the shots, you do, you know. But Kazakhstan did that drill twice, once at the blue line and then once about halfway down to the goal, which I thought was, and we talked about how
This was-
really cool it was to see kind of different systems.
So Em and I have been watching a lot of warm-ups and just talking, and we're like, okay, if you want to win, stretch, love your goalie, and hope for the best.
It worked for the Czechs. We'll get there, but it worked for the Czechs.
Yeah. And so that was just one of the things, because that was our third of 4 games, and so to see something that seemed to deviate so much from what we had kind of expected, because we kind of had a sense of, okay, they'll do this, and they'll do that, and yada, yada, yada.
Well, and then Worms, you stop watching, right, because of that.
And so it was attention getting, and I think part of it helped is that where we were seated, we had a pretty clear view of Kazakhstan doing warm-ups.
Yeah.
Just chilling in our seats. Quite literally chilling in our seats because it was fucking cold.
Yes, today was quite cold.
Indeed. Also, just last shout out though, because Shannon and I picked out this one player from Team Denmark.
Is it the 6'6" dude?
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually,
He's got a
6'7".
baby face.
Oh my
Actually, 6'7",
God.
according to Hockey Canada.
Yo, goalie
Um,
stats though.
Number 3, Malte Setkov, I do believe. Is
That
how it
sounds
was
like at least the
pronounced.
last name is pronounced correctly.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember because he scored the second goal, and this will go back to the next game that we talk about. But he was probably one of the hardest working players.
Absolutely.
On
All the
Team
Babcock
Denmark.
would sign him tomorrow if he was eligible.
And he was so good, and we were just like, let him score a
Please
goal.
let him score.
And he did. And it was
What's he weigh?
glorious. 205.
Jesus.
Yo!
Okay, so how do we decide goalie boy's name was pronounced? Dedim?
Which goalie boy?
Demid, wasn't it Demid?
Demid.
For
And we're gonna pronounce.
Have it
We're gonna apologize now for butchering certain pronunciations. Feel free to very politely let us know if we do butcher them.
Yeah. So Demid was, what did we see? 6'4", 196?
6'1".
I was gonna say
194.
He's
Yeah.
shorter than Freddie.
Yeah, so just comparatively, picture that tiny ass goalie for a goalie facing down a 6'7" dude who's got 25 pounds on him.
Well, and not just that, but you think Colton Parayko, and what does Parayko weigh?
God.
Or I'll do you one better, Shea Weber.
Oy.
That boy grows up. That boy puts some meat on him.
Mm-hmm.
Zdeno Chara's record will no longer stand.
Yes.
But yes, we also have a string bean of a goalie.
Yes. There was a lot of children, I think, adopted that game because there was a small little bean on the Denmark team, number 10, who, name I can't remember right now, but he had a cage on.
Jonathan Brinkman.
Brinkman.
That is like a not at all.
Not Danish.
Yeah.
Someone
It
played
does
their
not
dual
say
citizenship.
hometown. So.
Oh, might be a dual citizen. We
Might
know
be a
that.
dual citizen, but he was just, I don't know, he was very small, especially when you see him standing next to Malte Setkov, who is 6'7", and I was just like, I like you.
You adopt hobbits. It's fine. It's a thing.
It's fine.
Brinksy's a hobbit. Zuccarella's a hobbit.
Yes.
I got him mixed up with your other dude that starts with a Z on your team the other day, and it was very confusing for me.
The one with like
Zibanejad. I'm thinking of
Ah,
Zibanejad. I got them confused and had to text Shannon in a panic, going, "Oh my God, who's the other dude?"
But, so I guess that's it for today's games. We can move backwards now to New Year's Eve when we saw Denmark again versus the Czech Republic. And again, Malte Setkov
Putting in all the work.
putting in all the work.
Was excited for that one, I'll admit. It was I was excited to see the Danish team because the Danes pretty much, they've been able to hold their own in international competition at Worlds. So it was kind of interesting because you want to see, how is the development working in the nation in terms of, are we going to start seeing a lot more Danish players? And of course, I have a personal Freddie problem, and he happens to be Danish. You guys are going to love us on Valentine's Day. And that kind of makes you wonder because how does that country turn out an NHL caliber goalie who can stand behind the Leafs because God bless his heart and soul, and what is then coming out of the rest of the nation. And what we learned is goal scoring is not really on their list of things, which would low-key make sense since we were trying to figure out how many Danish players were even in the league and if Freddie was the only one, because if Freddie's the only one, they are quite obviously good at stopping pucks, and maybe that's the problem.
Yeah.
I don't know, did we ever find an answer to that?
We were looking Czech at the time. Not Danish,
yes, we were.
We'll do our research. We'll get back to you.
But yeah, we got confused with flags. That was fun.
We forgot, we didn't
Was
realize.
it Wikipedia or NHL? Or was it Hockey DB?
I think it was Hockey DB.
One of you gotta get your stuff straight. Marian Hossa, my friend.
We did get sidetracked into the whole Czechoslovakia split into the Czech Republic, Slovakia.
Oh, God. So here's the problem. Kayla and I have complementary educational backgrounds. And so we ended up talking about the Yugoslavia conflict. Don't ask. It was hockey. I think at the time, okay, so that was the game that we decided. I'm fairly certain it was that one. That stretching and hugging your goalie were the key to success.
Yes, because the Czech Republic hugged their goalie before
Well,
the game.
and it was
For the game.
definitely that one too, because the first game was pass to gritty. So we were very excited to see both teams practice passing drills, because one of the things, honestly, kids, when you go home and you are practicing your hockey skills, please please learn how to send and receive a pass? Because I think that was my biggest frustration through the whole tournament. Was there were so many passes that didn't connect.
Yeah.
And I think that was a really
it made
indicative...
M do Don Cherry impression.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
Okay, can I just say this? When passes connecting and passes being strung together fizzles out at 2, it makes me want to drink. Because that was just really... Listen, I'm not asking for pretty. I'm not asking for, like, astonishing ones that go on the highlight reel. I'm just asking for you from A to B to C without losing it to the other team.
And I think, like, again, there's something to be said about it being World Juniors.
Yes.
And having watched an OHL game, it is definitely not the level of hockey that I'm used to. Now, I'm used to the NHL. And that's kind of, in some ways, an unfair comparison to make. But at the same time, these are supposed to be the best junior hockey players that your nation has to offer. You're telling me in the best countries, like we're looking, Canada missed a lot of passes today.
It was
That was-
surprising.
I legitimately had a moment where I'm like, have we body swapped the Canadian team?
The Swedes lost today. Like,
Yeah, I'm still wrapping my head around that.
There's got to be something in the water then, because if we're looking at even junior players, and some of them are overage junior players, like some of them are 20 years old, so if they've been drafted, they're going into the A next year, and you're telling me you can't connect 3 passes in a row.
I mean, listen, I watch a lot of Hershey Bears hockey. Sometimes even in the A, connecting passes is just not a thing that happens. Like,
Yes. You're talking to the girl who has had a forward play defense and a defenseman play forward.
yeah.
In
So-
the A.
What is passing?
Well,
Something we all need to learn.
So that's funny.
Listen, I don't
we
care
talked
if you
to what is
define-
goaltender interference, but like what is passing was our real question.
I don't
Also,
care.
refs use your goddamn whistle. It's their goddamn
Oh
reason.
my gosh.
My thing is, I don't care if you can or cannot define passing. If you can do it, I'm not going to ask you to define it. What's the quote about pornography? I know it when I see it. I know good passes when I see them.
There's a quality reference in there for goaltender interference as well, in terms of if you don't know what it is, you shouldn't be doing it. I mean, I give that advice to a lot of people for a lot of different reasons, but it is that if you don't know what you're calling, maybe talk to some. Oh my god! Talk! I feel like honestly, okay. So
That's the only word I felt like said all day, just screaming it. At
because
teams.
I get. Okay, now I scream this at the Leafs on a regular basis as well. So like one thing at a time.
No one's that special. All of you need to talk better, learn to communicate.
And I understand that there's a certain degree to which you should be playing the system. And in playing the system, you should know where you need to be at any given opportunity. But if there was one more blind back pass, I swear to goodness gracious me, I was going to give up chocolate for the rest of my life. And you guys do not understand how painful that would be for me. Like, it was brutal. And you kind of accept that to a certain degree when you're in a Denmark-Canada game, for example, right? Because sometimes you get a little bit flashy, you get a little bit lazy, putting aside the is it right or is it wrong, what are the ethics? But when you're playing, like, I don't know, and it wasn't just this game, like, it was definitely more than one of them, where they were, like, doing drop passes and back, like, blind back. Do not blind back pass, please. I'm so upset at the idea, I can't even say it.
You're not Sidney Crosby, basically.
You don't have, like, echolocation for where everybody on your team is on the ice.
And if you haven't practiced it, your teammates don't know.
Exactly.
And these are national teams that are patchwork.
They're patchwork. They've been together for at most a month at this point. And that is including as well the camps. That does not just include this final roster, how long they've been together. And also, I mean, we could see from the stands, and for most of the games we were setting up in the 300 levels, you could tell when a player was surprised to get the puck because nobody was communicating with him. I'm passing to you. Hey, this is coming your way.
And I get, like, it comes back to
play the system, but
different ways to communicate too.
yeah.
But like, frickin' heck. Like, there were a couple of times there was a stick banged on the ice that was very much I'm open, please pass me the stupid puck.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like,
Use
I
your
don't
words.
know. And I get not using your words at the same time, because you can't always be like, yo, Nick, I'm passing it to you, right? You can't be like, Glasser, heads up, that means something different. But at the same time, it's like, just
Find something.
I feel like even the Kazakhstan-Denmark game and the Czech-Denmark game were silent.
Yeah.
And like when the arena
Oh, yeah.
goes silent, you can tell.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And the arena would go silent and you can't hear anything.
Yeah.
Except, and I mean, listen, I am all for the sounds of skates on ice and tape passes connecting via tape. Like, I'm here for it. I get it.
There's a time and place, and that's
We
not
talk.
at World Juniors. Like, we need more than that. You need more than that. No one is a mind reader.
I get too that this can like make or break certain drafts, and for some people, like their draft stock has gone up by nature of them playing in this tournament.
Absolutely.
Did you know you have to communicate in the NHL too?
Oh my god, yes, you do.
They don't.
No,
But
they
like
don't.
my team also doesn't know what defense is, so like one thing at a time. Leave my Norris candidate alone.
Oh, I was gonna just bring up, have you seen what the Rangers have done lately? You think they're talking?
The Caps. Sometimes they talk, sometimes they run on an old married people wavelength that none of us can understand. I don't know what they're doing.
That was a quality reference. I appreciate you so much.
That was great.
But yeah, any other takeaways from the Denmark-Czech Republic game?
I'm saying this so I remember to do it, I need to do Google on that player we saw get injured. We did see, unfortunately, a player go into the boards. Not into the boards, he went into his net.
He went into his net.
And it was very terrifying.
That was actually the Switzerland game.
No, it was
game 2.
because I thought it was Zdeno, and Zdeno's a Czech.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it has Nechas.
Nechas.
That name is a rough one.
Nechas, which is Hurricanes prospect.
Yeah, and he played up for a while.
He did.
So my point being,
I have to do Google to figure out which the
he
Czech
was,
player.
he was stretchered off.
But
He was stretchered
that
off.
But, you know, he gave us the
waved us.
thumbs
Yeah,
up.
he was awake and he was obviously talking to the
Yes.
And I think the
trade
bigger fear that when I was looking at Twitter day of that everybody was having was it was more hip area that he went into the goal.
we wondered if it was a ligament.
Yeah.
Credit where credit's due, Zdeno did look good.
Zdeno did look good.
He wasn't noticeable. Like, I wouldn't say I knew when he was on the ice, which they keep playing at second intermission the theme song for World Juniors, and they play a lot of like McDavid's goals because those are recent, and you can tell it's McDavid. Like, you know before
Yeah.
you see the number on the jersey and the name on the back that it's Connor McDavid. If they talked about the Jordan Eberle goal once,
We were all crying.
they talked about it 201
I wasn't
times.
crying. I was just kind of pissed off.
Right about the 200th time, I was like, no, I'm done now. But like, Canada, so you get patriotic about it.
So back to...
We were talking about the Czech
Yes.
and how the Czech played.
He reminds me of a basic black dress.
I thought you were going to say basic burrito, and I was going to be like, whoa, okay, that is
No,
pretty
I mean like a basic white...
Black.
Basic black dress.
A little black dress.
Yes,
is
a little
what
black
you're
dress.
I was going to say, are you talking about the little black dress?
Yes, where it is very basic, it is very classic. You can build a lot of pretty stuff around it, but by itself, it does not necessarily catch your attention, be your first reach in the closet.
It makes me feel less angry that Detroit sent him down. It is Detroit. I hope it's Detroit.
Yes, it is Detroit.
Yes.
It is.
So it makes me happier that Detroit sent him down, in part because small children don't need to see that. And I think the development will do him some good too.
Yeah. The fans who had the giant pictures of his head on sticks were great.
Heads were amazing.
Fans do things, man, at international tournaments where you're like, ooh, that's a real thing.
Which is an excellent segue, actually, to Russia versus Switzerland.
Why?
Because of the fans that had the sign, cheese versus vodka.
Oh, amazing! Point. That is a valid point.
Listen, we saw some quality signage, and that was hands down one of the highlights of the signage we saw.
I was a big fan of the Canadian tuxedos that were being rocked at the Canada game.
I mean, my favorite was just like the maple syrup beauty that we saw at one point.
Okay, so can we? I'm sorry, Joe's gonna kill me in 30 seconds, but we got a bunny trail here because the amount of sheer hockey talk. Like, Canadians have a stereotype, and apparently I have fallen into that stereotype a few times on this trip. But we were sitting, I don't even think, was it the Russian-Switzerland game or was it the Denmark-Czech game? And there were like 3 or 4 true hockey bros.
It was Denmark, Czech.
Because we're talking, they're like, yeah, snipe silly, bro. And okay. No.
Someone,
It was Letterkenny. If you've ever seen that TV show or any of the clips floating around Tumblr.
It was pure Letterkenny.
I literally had a moment where I think it was either Joe or Em asked me, "Are you hearing this?" I'm like, "No, I am actively trying not to."
So they're like that. I have never experienced that much genuine, because I'm very reluctant to call it Canadiana, except we came home that day and then watched the Jonathan Taves swearing for 5 minutes. And like, Jonathan Taves sounds like a true Canadian when he gets going. And so it's a very weird kind of, that was the best part I think about cheese versus vodka is like, that's what made me think top cheddar, and I just died, and it broke my soul, because we definitely sat by some too very recently. Like, I think it was the relegation game we did, and I was listening, and I was like, this is breaking. Like, can you just speak English like a normal human?
I think, oh god, I must have tuned them out. I think I was very caught up in my goalie, because I just was like,
I didn't hear them at relegation.
It might be a different game. I might have been
over Danish children.
Walking somewhere.
We don't ever have a time at the relegation game.
It's not even that. Like, honestly, the 4 of us together was the best idea ever, and a horrid idea.
pity Em, she has to edit a lot of hours of nonsense.
I think it's gonna turn out better, actually, because I'll be able to cut a lot of stuff. I'm prepared to go home to Toronto and listen to the closest to America you'll get in Canada's talk. Except then I'm gonna watch a lot of hockey, so I'm sure like Mitch will say something dumb when they interview him tomorrow. I don't know, but it's weird sometimes to be out here and hear them and they're like, yeah, top cheddar bar down. I'm like, no. No, please. You're the reason that their stereotypes exist. Now here's the game that I was kind of really excited to see. So we saw this, gosh, I don't know dates, the 29th.
Yes.
30th.
29th.
30th. Because we came in on the 28th and we had a rest day.
Liminal time, kids. And it's the Russia-Switzerland game. And I'm sorry, I'm absolutely going to do Switzerland and Sweden in this little segment here. And I'm so sorry. I am talking about Switzerland for the entirety of this segment, unless somehow I start talking about...
You're not going to bunny trail that bad.
Anyway, almost did. And I was super interested in this one because Russia comes in and it is generally considered a hockey powerhouse. Like, Russia, Canada, USA, Sweden, I would probably argue top 4, hands down. Those are going to be the ones that you want to see. Finland sneaks in there sometimes. It's great, and I'm not discounting the ability of the Finns. But Russia, you can kind of assume, was going to come out of that game on top. Now, the one thing is, the last couple of years, because last year, this was true of Switzerland last year as well, in terms of their skill and their ability to give teams a run for their money. And I swear to goodness gracious, if there was going to be, and I knew this coming into the tournament, any team that would sneak through or give Kayla her chaos, it was going to be Switzerland. And sometimes gut feelings are weird. Ovi had a gut feeling last year when he said, we not suck this year.
We not fucking suck. You cannot censor my father.
Valid. Yes. So I was really excited to see Switzerland because I was really excited to see their gameplay, their game style, because they tend to be a pain in the ass to play against. I would argue that is what they were for the Russia game. At least for the beginning. I mean, like, they fell asleep, but...
Yeah, they did. It was fun. I had a little skin in the game. I was definitely rooting for Switzerland, but I also was like, we have a Rangers prospect on the Russian team, and I was a little excited to see Vitaly Kravtsov play, and did not disappoint. Loved watching him live.
Yeah, it was... The Swiss played the first probably period and a half, I would argue.
Yeah.
Top speed, top notch, pain in the butt to play against.
Oh, yeah.
Scored 2 goals early. Like, I was in that game going, oh my god, they're actually going to beat Russia. And then the New Year's Eve game is not going to be near as crazy because it was Canada-Russia on New Year's Eve, and it would be fine. Canada would be first in the group. And
And then Russia happened.
That is not how the game ended, kids.
I want to say Switzerland scored like a minute in because I
They
remember
did.
we had a conversation early on about how fantastic the Swiss goal song was. Like, legitimately, I've been keeping track of the goal songs. Switzerland, you picked a good one.
Yeah,
I love it.
It was fun.
I was so glad to hear it a lot. I'm so mad that I can't seem to find the actual name of it on any of the interwebs, so if you guys know it, let me know. I really desperately want that as
Maybe
part of my
just-
music library.
Maybe just give all of them to Kayla, because Kayla wanted to know every single one.
Everyone.
I had opinions. Like, I'm sorry, the Russian one, when we did finally hear it,
I understand why.
the Russian one, I'm sorry, someone in the Ministry of Sport and Culture totally picked that out for you. Because I will eat a fucking hat if that was actually anywhere close to a popular song in Russia.
No, the
For
Russian
the
woman.
age group.
The
For the
Russian
age group.
woman next to us was really enjoying. The Russian woman who was like a section over from us seemed to really be enjoying
How old
it.
was she?
She was old.
That's why I'm like, I'm pretty sure Ministry of Sport and Culture. Because it's very Russian. I'm sure it evokes a lot of patriotic feeling. But, like, if you're going to ask a bunch of teenage dudes to pick a song that they theoretically hear a lot,
Canada picked Pitbull. Like,
Does Russia pick its own?
Up your
or
game.
Does the
That's why I'm like-
Federation do?
that's
what I'm saying.
That's the
annoying.
point.
See, I hear Ministry of Sport and I think the government and not necessarily like the Russian Hockey Federation.
yeah, the
Which
way
I
don't
mean, in
think
Russia,
we're-
that's the same thing.
We're not delineating for the purposes of this discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Basically, just not the boys.
Yes.
The children did not pick the songing.
some old grown-up connected to the team did. But I will say this. It was interesting to kind of watch the momentum shift and watch Russia try and...
It was weird.
They
It was-
just decided to go stomp over everything, and they did.
And Switzerland had a nap.
It was
Yeah.
legitimately, I had a moment like,
It
does
was
the Russian national team do like the Ovi thing where he has like a Coke in between periods of play? Or are they a more Mitch Marner, Red Bull?
Mountain Dew. Red Bull Mountain Dew. Red Bull Mountain Dew. I'm fine. Maybe they pull the Patty Marlowe and do the ice bath.
Regardless, they did something. Because
Now to be fair, if I were the Russian coach, I would have gone in that dressing room and ripped the paint off the walls. Now, the Swiss coach tends to be a little John Tortorella.
He's great.
And I love him.
Yeah.
Like, let's straight up, I would like him to coach the Swiss team from now until the end of his tenure in hockey. I really appreciate the candidness out of him. And so, like, I think that was also why I was really excited to see Switzerland, because I was really excited to have the coach be able, and now he can. Like, now the coach gets to walk away by saying, yo, we beat Sweden. And I'd be interested to see how that game fell down, because obviously we didn't get to watch it.
Yeah.
But that game was not... I would like to know what pod team came out against Sweden.
I try not to think about it because if I think about it, that just leads me down like the...
You just did the Switzerland-Sweden
Ah! Sorry.
Yes.
Bugger.
What? Are you British now?
No, I'm upset.
switch. Swedish pod team.
No, Swiss pod team.
The Swiss pod team, because they played a lot better against
I mean,
Sweden.
also the Sweden pod team. 'Cause I would
Yes.
like to know which version of Sweden came out if the Swiss managed to beat them 2-0.
Exactly.
But also, and I guess maybe part of it is maybe it's the Swiss team that came out against Canada and
Yeah.
had Canada on the ropes for 90% of the game.
Yeah.
Now,
Or, you know, the Swiss team at the beginning of the Russia game.
yeah.
So-
it's just like, what happened? Did they give them Valium in the middle of the period?
They
So,
ate
like,
their Wheaties.
No! The Wheaties are supposed to make you do things, not
No, I
sleep.
thought... Weren't they the one that the dude designed so people wouldn't be like sexually active?
What? Kayla, your mind is in one direction and one direction only. And
That
just
would be
for that,
That would be cornflakes.
I am pulling up every Jack Eichel picture in my queue. I actually, okay, well, I'll leave that to Jack. I think more so, I always thought of it, and this is, okay, we can choose whether we can keep this piece in or not, but I'm going to leave it in for now. Joe and I spoke at one point, so Joe and I are both simmers. We play Sims. And the new Sims 4, actually, when you have the emotions as the sim, like a happy sim or a confident sim, they do different things accordingly. And when the sim is angry,
They can do an angry poop.
Joe says one of the good ways to relieve anger is an angry poop. I said Max Comtois looks like he just takes angry poops all day. But, shoot, now I forgot where I was going with the angry poops. Oh, maybe they took sleepy poops. Or maybe they just didn't drink the right potion at intermission. I also want to say halftime. Halftime doesn't exist. Though Shannon got first and second intermission screwed up today. So
I wanted the game to be longer.
it was a very...
It went fast.
Keeping track of time between Christmas and the beginning of whenever you go back. For some people it's New Year's. Like for me it's January 2nd. That time in between, it's like, what day is it? What time is it? Is it winter? Is it summer? Is it fall? I don't know.
It was so strange. I had to work 2 of those days, and I was very confused, and the office was very empty.
Everything was confusing, and then the game was weird because it's a 3:30 p.m. puck drop, which is a 6:30 p.m. puck drop on the East Coast. So like, I don't know, but also you have to fit so many games in the day and blah blah blah. Any other news and notes from Russia, Switzerland? I did say that correctly. I was like, wow.
Bravo. We're very proud of you.
It was
I'm
good.
proud
It
of
was.
me. If I only make one slip in this between Sweden and Switzerland, I am doing great.
Mm-hmm. I will say this. I am very happy with the order of games that we saw play out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I really think
They just got better.
they got better.
Yeah.
The crowds got better. You got emotionally invested in some of them. Legitimately, I would not pace our games differently if I were to go back and do it again. Because I'm sorry, it's going to be a real tough thing for any game to live up to that Canada-Finland won. So
2021, when we go to Edmonton and Canada's in the final, you'll see.
Oh, I was gonna say I was
Okay.
gonna be a complete asshole and be like, you say that now, but USA is through to the semifinals, and we
But
get to play Russia.
I don't think you're gonna see, because it's not.
No, we won't see it from the crowds, but for me, I'm gonna be hella
Well, okay.
invested in that.
There's an interesting segue though, because one of the things that, like, we got to see Canada play live.
Yep.
We have also had the ability to watch a couple of, at least, periods of U.S. hockey while we've been here. And we have not spoken at all about USA.
I'm a happy person. We beat, we beat the Czech Republic to go on to the semifinals. I am happy we got to see Jack Hughes. Jack Hughes came back.
I mean, we finally woke up when we were playing
Sweden.
Sweden.
Oh, the last 10 minutes.
Oh, that was it. We watched
It was
it
a trip.
here.
that was
Oh
just-
my god.
We were just like, please don't let it be a shutout. And I was like, oh my god,
Joel Farabee scored a natural hat trick.
this team. Where did they come from? Speaking of pod team.
I know!
Oh my
Is that the
god.
theme of the teams this year? I know everyone's like,
No, the
hashtag
theme was
represent.
pass to gritty, which we did not touch on.
That was our theme. That was our theme.
That was,
but-
well, we touched
No,
on the
okay.
passing problem, but not
Yes.
how
Yeah.
we
My
decided
thing
that
is,
therefore
like-
passes that didn't connect were passes to gritty. We had a lot of gritty references. This has been a very
Gritty
For a
centric.
group
hairy
of people,
orange strip.
For a group of people who don't root for Philadelphia, and like I have gone on record on saying that I have one Philadelphia Flyer that I like.
That is currently playing?
That is currently playing.
Because
and
if
that
you
is
don't
Travis
adopt the
Konecny.
hell out of, oh no, it had better be two. It had better be two. It had better be two. Carter Hart.
Anna's
Yes.
getting very
Carter
threatening
Hart,
with her
though-
finger at this stage.
Carter Hart deserves all of the love and softness.
Okay,
He does.
she's also now glaring at me. I feel like you need to be able to visualize how intensely she feels this. Because
Don't hurt Carter Hart the way Edmonton is hurting Connor McDavid. Thank you.
listen,
There
you
are
need
murder eyes.
an advanced degree to hurt someone the way Edmonton is hurting McDavid.
Philly conceivably called Carter Hart up too early up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Words are hard.
Don't hurt my child.
But yeah, so
Don't talk to me or
USA.
my son ever again.
They did things. I was very confused by some of the things they did, but overall, I'm happy.
I'm still very pleased with my whole. The USA showed up for the last 10 minutes of the Sweden game, like a good group of college boys. You
Oh
do
my
nothing,
God.
and then you show up for the last. You do nothing on the group project, and then you show up for the last 10 minutes to get that shit done and hand it in before midnight.
Yeah.
They procrastinate, and I love them.
That was, that's apt.
My heart
Yeah.
cannot take more procrastination, so please have pity on me.
So far, so good. They were up early today.
They were
Relatively early.
relatively
It was
early.
the New Year's resolutions. It'll fade really fucking quick.
Like college students.
Yeah.
The gym is full for the month of January, and then by February, it's all downhill from there.
I'm gonna drink less. Sure you are.
That's a lie. Nobody ever makes that resolution.
Yeah, well, I hope there are some people out there that do, but that's neither here nor there. So to wrap this segment up, now that we know, actually, can somebody pull up the Russia score, please? So as I look at, I do believe that game should be either over or close to over.
7:57 to go until the end of regulation time. Slovakia outshoots Russia in the third period, but Russia hockey scores again. 8-1 lead, Russia.
So I'm gonna go out on a limb.
Motherfuck.
Hot take here, kids. Russia will win that game.
I have to live through another USA-Russia game.
I was gonna say, which I do believe makes the semifinals, not semifinals. I don't know what those are. Is it Switzerland,
Finland, USA,
Russia. Oh boy.
I'm very not sad Canada was eliminated. I'm very sad Canada is eliminated today. That's a freaking lie.
We're all
However.
very sad.
We are sad.
So, USA, bone up and do your job. None of
Please.
this college procrastination shit.
Please don't kill me.
Oh my god.
And I am 210,000 effing % behind Switzerland.
Absolutely.
It means I don't have to change colors. It's great.
I just have to take one away again. It's like what I do whenever for Canada.
Do you Velcro the blue?
I should. Just get a shirt.
Question.
I'm going to sit very still. I'm going to do deep breathing. I'm going to try not to swear at the TV.
You are going to swear the F at that TV.
I know I am. I'm not even going to try
We've
to
established
lie.
at this point I swear at everything and I feel at everything. So, please don't fuck me up too badly.
You don't want to know.
I'm just making faces and I'm very scared.
It's all good. It is all good.
So,
Here's to a chaotic rest of the tournament.
It's like 5 games.
that is
We'll be fine.
plenty
We'll
of
be
time.
fine. Just fine.
That is-
just fine.
At least 5 hours for potential chaos. You would be amazed what can happen in 5 or more hours.
I'll be watching the Leafs.
I think I'm going to be flying during the USA-Russia game.
Oh,
It's on Friday.
Your life
Oh,
sucks.
shit.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna be napping.
Mood.
I mean, just get Wi-Fi and track it from there.
I have almost 3 hours in the San Francisco airport. We're going to hope and pray it's during that time.
I mean, you could probably look it up.
Okay, so awesome. Rest of tournament. Hopefully it'll be good.
I will be ecstatic if Switzerland takes home gold.
That would
Like,
be
I'm
cool.
sorry, and that is no offense to others,
No.
but like, I will lose my
Oh, I'll lose
ever-loving
my
mind.
mind.
I mean, have they ever medaled before?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Like, legitimately, if they get a medal, I will be quite all over the place. If they win gold, I think I am just going to, die of euphoria. Because I've been on a kick since the Caps won the Cup of just being like, I want new people winning new things and achieving unprecedented things.
Can I introduce you to Morgan Riley
No, for fuck's sake.
and the Norris Trophy? It
Listen,
won't though. Like, honestly, it's like Bergeron and the Selke. If Bergeron doesn't win the Selke, did the Selke really get presented?
that is a philosophical question I am in no place to answer because it's late and I'm tired and there's been a lot of emotional hockey. So I don't know what I'm saying.
Carly for Norris could be a thing.
Right. So we're rooting for the USA, but we're also rooting for Switzerland.
And mass chaos.
We've already established that's a thing. So with that, let us wrap up this segment and move on.
I think this is the first time, like, 2/3 of us are seeing each other face to face in person. There are 4 of us. How did I get thirds?
I don't know, but I wasn't gonna ask. I was gonna let you have that one. I don't know the details, but like, it's a very weird crosshatch situation of even how this is a thing. Like, it's so I don't even like it.
Okay, like,
I think I dragged Kayla in here.
Yeah,
and it's
so-
just
oh,
staying-
absolutely.
okay, so if I think I have this correct, Em and Joe, we're gonna start with you guys as the base unit. You talked about how you guys found each other. Shannon started doing her secretary Shannon thing. Don't
Sorry,
make that
talking to
face
Em,
at me.
yeah.
No, I'm sorry. You're making it sound like the beginning of a rom-com.
We are Love Actually.
No.
No, it's more like Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, except I don't think we could share a pair of pants, so like there's that. But
No.
it's a little bit
Well,
more
a hat. I sold Shannon's hat this morning. We're fine. We're sharing
I'm not
it.
wearing
But no.
rainbows. I'm not the-
The important thing is, I started talking to Shannon, and
Yeah.
Shannon started kind of throwing me in your orbit. It turns out Joe and I, in days gone by, had been lurking in similar fandoms. Well, I've been lurking, she had been more engaged. So there was a really weird deja vu moment in one of your earlier podcasts where you were talking about like some of your fandom experience and where you guys were writing and experiencing fandom before you came to hockey.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I had like a slight meltdown on Shannon of like, if this is the author I think it is.
I vaguely remember the story.
Because it was around World Juniors, not World Juniors, World Cup of Hockey. That's what I
But-
meant. I know my tournaments.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
When Kayla and I started talking because there was something with
Like,
a McEichel hug Selly, and we both lost our shit.
in the comments of the post, and then
We started talking,
Yeah.
and then the podcast happened and got released, and then I was kind of like, I think this is the right person. If it's Joe, you should just go message her and talk, and basically goaded on Kayla, and we somehow, all four of us, and I dragged Kayla back into this as well, because I was tired of being a messenger between the two.
you have to understand there was like an original 3-person group chat, and then I was messaging Joe on Tumblr. You and I were texting so much, my parents wondered if we were dating because
I never knew that!
That's actually a valid, like, honestly, I can probably say before our schedules became living, breathing tire fires, that, like, honestly, I was surgically attached. It was, thankfully, like, my family didn't go down that path, but, like,
my parents are just like, the last time we saw you texting someone this much, it was the ex-boyfriend, and so they're like, oh, maybe she's moved on, and then
do
yeah,
we have to kill him?
no, we love Forrest. He is sweet and delightful, and he's a good egg.
Okay.
Yes. So basically, the long story short is, it was a weird like trip down memory lane / okay, fuck it, we're just all gonna go in a group chat together. So yeah,
And now we're here.
and now we're here.
Yeah.
Shannon might be dying as she
It's
chokes
fine.
on her water, but we're here.
I don't know, man. Friendship is weird, is kind of the long story short.
Yeah.
It's, God, there are days. Actually, my favorite part about our group chat, because there's 4 of us, so if you are away for any given time and the world catches on fire, like, you can come back, or if you're in show and you don't get up until 10 in the morning, you can come or wake up to 72 plus text messages. And the best part is, we've gotten to the point now where one of us goes, okay, somebody, like, too long didn't read this for me. And inevitably, like, it takes 4 text messages to go through what we've talked about. It's like, the sky is blue, the caps are crazy, food is good. And it's literally, it is that,
Yep.
like, across the spectrum of just stuff. I don't know. We're
Oh,
interesting.
there have been days when I have been working because I have full-time job, not an academic schedule anymore, and my job is, sometimes requires me to be on the floor and dealing with people, not looking at my phone. I come back to an explosion of text messages and I go, I don't have time, somebody please just, what the hell happened
What is
in
relevant?
here? What do I need to know?
What is relevant?
I, as a graduate student, am running on like a weird academic schedule, even as I start switching to like full-time internship nonsense. So it's just weird. I try and keep up, but sometimes, even though I've seen every message, I still go, I've lost the plot. What the hell is happening around me?
I mean, I'm in some mood if I ever heard one.
Yeah.
I never found the plot, so it's hard to lose something you never had, but hey!
I just like to go like, oh God, what was the thing recently? Em and Shannon were talking about something, and I'm like, okay, I'm seeing the messages.
That's never a good thing.
I'm seeing the messages. I recognize the words in them, but I stare at them and I'm not getting meaning. And I'm just like, am I being really dumb, or am I missing like a message that makes context out of everything?
You're probably not missing either. It's just so the reason Shannon and I have our own chat thread is supposed to be so that when these bunny trails, I guess we'll call happen, we have a concentrated place, because sometimes we skip past certain things, or there's certain references that get made that, like, if I say mango, Shannon knows who I'm talking about. You probably don't. And it's not that you miss a text message. It's that literally there's just a bot disconnect that just we can't hold you accountable for.
Yeah.
Joe more than once has been like, you guys are nuts.
Yeah.
Indeed.
There's only one semi-functioning adult in the room, and it's not me. At all.
I'm out of the running on that one.
Yeah, that's fine. We can all be major tire fires. Though, well, we could do it that way.
Speaking of tire fires that are no longer tire fires, the Caps did an excellent, exciting thing. Are you mad at me?
June.
In June.
And that's okay, because here's the thing that I think is relevant for context in this case, because you guys don't live in our heads, and we definitely cannot expect you to be...
What she means by you guys is you, the listeners, by the way.
Yes. I felt like that was clear, but
It
No,
wasn't.
it was not. It was not.
I thought you were addressing me because you're
There's
like,
well, and there's exactly the context, right? Is like, you guys, the listeners, Shannon mainly cheers for the Rangers, even though we don't know what they're doing.
We will get to that.
Joe is creating her own team of gingers, retired and not, so we're gonna leave that alone. Side order of Yossi and PK because you need a defensive core. Though you do have Polly, you could just have Polly.
I thought we were talking about Polly until the other thing. Because, like,
No,
That
this
too,
is separate.
but this is
this is
separate.
the Joe still does not have a team, so if you want to make a manifesto as to why Joe should choose your team, perhaps you should do so. And this is a general you, not just to the three sitting here.
Mine's already been written. It involves Frederick Anderson and Connor Brown.
Oh, this is how opened up a whole range of possibilities of things that I can do to get somebody else to join me in New York fandom.
But you don't
Ginger, thick thighs. That's your criteria.
Mark Stahl.
No.
fun fact. I swear.
It's not any ginger.
Okay, listen, do we know what Jared Stahl is doing? Because I swear to God, he looked exactly like one of the border agents when I was trying to get into this country. I had a moment of like, is this Jared Stahl? Has he finally retired?
No, you're in BC. They're from like Saskatchewan.
I know. Sometimes you move away from home.
I was wrong.
But no, legitimately, I had a moment of like, that looks like a Stahl brother. And I'm like, is Jared retired?
Last I knew he was in the A, but somebody will have to Google that.
I thought he was down to the ECHL.
Oh, poor.
He's been bouncing around down
I
there.
know. I always hate that with hockey players, though, right? Like,
Yeah.
it always makes me. And I get, like, sometimes they're just grateful to be playing the game, which is really cool, but at the same time, it's always like, that's sad. The point of this,
It's a bunny trail back.
bunny trailed so far, but Joe doesn't have a team. Shannon's a Rangers fan. We all know I cheer too hard for the Leafs. And Kayla is a Caps fan.
And I'm no longer quite as long-suffering a Caps fan as I've been.
Absolutely. And since Joe and I did we do our last podcast in August? When you were here?
July?
July, not August, but July, when you were here, like I'm in Toronto.
Okay.
God. I did say it. I absolutely did say it. Here is in Canada. How about that, kids? Let's go with that. My point is, we have not, I don't even think we talked the cup. Did we talk the cup? We talked Taylor Hall a lot. Sorry.
I mean, we don't necessarily have to talk the cup.
We
but
did not talk the cup.
We have to talk the Shenanigans.
Yep. Listen, my team, my delightful team, I love them. They're delightful tire fires, and I appreciate them trying to put themselves out by throwing themselves into multiple fountains. I also appreciate Nicholas Backstrom getting behind the bar and getting his hands on one of the spray nozzles, whether beer or soda, and just going to town. I think it was a beer.
I just appreciate Nicholas Backstrom.
Yes.
We all do. He's...
Full stop. Like, I got nothing. That's it. I could do without TJ Oshie drinking a beer through his shirt.
I loved it, but then again, I'm the one who acts most like a frat boy.
Well, okay, so the worst thing ever was they did that Instagram or that camera roll roulette that they can do with. They've been doing it. NHL Network's been coming up with some very interesting stuff. Because what they did is they basically took a player and their camera roll and had them scroll through and then explain the picture it landed on. And the thing that came out of the Mitch Marner one is he is a living, breathing frat boy, which, like, legit, sorry, and I have a very Mitchell Marner shaped problem in my life, but, like, I don't even want to know. Like, that's a whole other level.
That's like big college TJ Oshie is like on big college, Big Ten sports
I
boy
mean,
level.
do we not recall the beer
Well, he went to
Bomb.
UND, didn't he?
with
did.
JT?
So
Not the Toronto JT.
I was gonna say
the Toronto.
teaser.
Yeah.
Toes. For those of you who
He
have
did,
seen
and there are
Throw it to the
pictures
winter class.
circulating from their college days of them beer bonging and doing other
And
ridiculous
snuggling
shit.
on the couch. We did have
So
a
one
moment.
of the ones that they did is TJ Oshie with
Oh,
the
no.
picture of Taves, where he just looks unimpressed at the world. And the whole thing is caption this, which is different from but like caption this. And TJ Oshie is very much like, Johnny just looks offended that there's a camera in his household. And it's kind of like,
Mood.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the point of this was to get back to the cap shenanigans. Y'all are, you the listeners, because now I can't, now I'm going to be so anal retentive about it, know that we bunny trail like nobody's business. So we're hoping to goodness you're just going to work with us. And we're low-key hoping this is going to be less than 3 hours, but we're not banking on it. So,
As Emma's saying this, she's like looking at me because we're across the table from each other. And I know she's saying like collective you, as in you who are listening to the podcast, but I still feel like she is thinly veiling her like
No.
scoldings of me of like, you
Oh, no.
cannot go on a rant about.
there's 4 of us at this table. If I'm going to scold anybody, it's Shannon over here to my right. Don't even worry about it.
Like, if there's
the
anybody
eye
who's gonna bunny
contact.
trail, it's
It's
me.
the
Joe will tell me when I'm going a little far. She's good like that. But no, this is your floor.
You know, now that I say that, I'm like, what the hell am I going to say? Because I'm just riding a wave of euphoria that I have been riding since literally they moved out of the second round.
Or why shouldn't you? I mean, you
And-
slayed the dragon.
Yeah, and someone at one point was making a comment of like, oh, the Caps just hope that they don't get the Penguins in the second round. I'm like, no, it's a goddamn like mental block at this point. We are fully capable of beating them. We've done it in the regular season. For the sake of all our sanity, it has to happen in the second round. I'm like, it needs to happen. That needs to be the path. Fun fact, the night that the Caps beat the Penguins and moved forward was the first time I'd been back in DC in a while. And so it was just really surreal to be in the city at a sports bar as this was all happening.
Yo.
It was batshit.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh my god.
I don't think I mentioned this, but no, like I'd been down there for some legislative day stuff, and I split off from the group, and I'm like, y'all are great, y'all are fun, I need to find a sports bar. Which, finding one in DC is actually kind of a pain in the ass. At least a good one that isn't like focused on other sports. I'm like, come on, hockey, give me the hockey. So legitimately, for those of you who are watching the broadcast where they occasionally cut to the bar, you might have seen a group of 20-something women in suits at a sports bar. That was us.
nice.
That's awesome.
We were only on there for like 10 seconds, but the important thing was we were communing as a group. I think we all started saying prayers in every single language and in every religious like intent that we could think of, because we're just like, please, 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 please carry us through this. And it did. And then I think I immediately had a meltdown in the group chat to the point of like just
Well, not over the Pens. The cup win, there was an actual straight up meltdown. Like, I don't think you spoke English for 3 days.
It was amazing.
Tongues.
We're trying to have like logical conversations, and Kayla's like, "We need the cup." You're like, I know. Also, bunny trail fun fact, because this made me laugh. So Joe is our sound tech today, and she has headphones in to make sure that the microphone is correct. And I got a little loud. She full on flinched, and I am sorry for that.
Yeah.
But that was Kayla during the, and that was pre like Fountain, pre TJ Oshie, what is the quote from OV from last season?
We not gonna suck?
We not gonna suck?
we're not gonna fucking suck. You
Oh.
can't skip the fucking. I'm sorry, it's Obi.
You do you.
Yes. So I just.
It was a time.
It was a
Still a
time.
time.
I had
Still
a
a time.
really. It was a really surreal moment, and it was just really exciting because my father and I had been moaning and groaning for years about the Penguins. Which, extra fun fact, I did my undergrad in Pittsburgh, and so being there for playoff season, the start of it at least, with a bunch of Penguins fans as
Well-
a Caps fan and just being like, please, not this year.
You would have been there through their 2 cups.
Yes. I committed no murder.
We're proud of you every day you don't commit murder.
Mostly because we don't have enough bail money.
Yo, bail's expensive.
It's so expensive.
Also, your exchange rate is a piece of poop, so like, it's twice as expensive for me.
Yeah, that was the other thing, and part of how we made this whole Vancouver thing happen is because the 3 Americans got a decent exchange rate on everything. Em unfortunately got screwed, but she didn't have to deal with,
I
getting
didn't
her
have to
forward
exchange
trouble.
for Monopoly money, which if I hear that reference one more goddamn time.
I called it board game money. Money.
Actually, my favorite part, I'm sorry, I'm throwing you under the bus, Kayla. I love you, I promise. So Kayla yesterday is so tired. She's got Canadian 5s, 10s, and 20s. And first of all, I'm a big fan of the different colors because it's easier to find the bill that I'm looking for. But Kayla is like, these just feel fake. And I'm like, okay, well, they're plastic. So yes, for all intents and purposes. And she's like, and they're all different sizes. And I was like, no. And she was adamant, so I took them from her hand and lined them all up properly, and she looked at me like, why are you like this? I'm too tired for this. And then I went and had a shower.
My favorite part still was how, while Kayla was still in transit to the Airbnb, she said something about, like, exchanging money, and in the group chat, and Em just goes, if I hear something again about Monopoly money, I'm gonna lose it. Like, you guys don't need to be exchanging money. We can use credit cards here.
Yeah, so funny story too about that. We also have the tap, which y'all don't have. So it's one of those, like, every time Joe and I exchange countries, whether I go down to the US or she comes up here, inevitably some sort of conversation specifically around credit card usage comes up, because I think the last time I was in Illinois, I had the tap in Toronto for the longest time. And the tap is so convenient because it's one of those, like, my limit is 100, I think. Like, if it's under $100, I can tap and go. I don't have to care about putting in a code. I don't have to. The US doesn't have that. So it was like when you go and I don't think I had the Starbucks app at the time, so you go and you buy a Starbucks and it's $5, and I'm not exchanging cash if I don't have to, because A, I'm gonna get dinged on the exchange rate on my Visa anyway, and B, I don't wanna have to pay the fee to exchange on top of the exchange rate on top of,
It actually
like,
wasn't too bad.
for you.
Yeah. No, in terms of, like, the fee for the exchange rate.
For you, it might be for me. Like,
Okay,
well,
no.
PayPal though was a dick about it. Like,
Oh
PayPal
my
has
God.
the fee on top,
Yeah.
and that's fine because, like, it's one of those things where
It was close enough and I was getting cash back, so I'm like, I don't give a shit.
and for me, this is what I'm paying for, right? Like, 6 days away. I was talking to a friend of mine this morning. Like, literally, our plan for the day, guys, listeners, people, humans that are not in this room right now. I hate 4 of you, 3 of you, 4, because I'll be the 4th one, sure. The point is, now I'm very anxious because now I forget what I just said. Our day, we went grocery shopping. We're gonna watch hockey. We're gonna talk about hockey. Literally our day. We're gonna make tacos later. Like, it is a perfect rainy, icky Saturday for me, and that's worth stupid effing exchange fees. My God, I'm so glad that you listeners are so used to bunny trails. This is borderline offensive. Except I also keep reading my own note here that literally says if we bring up Nylander, Emily will commit murder. So I keep getting caught because it's like, I really don't want to commit murder. He signed, that's all we care about. Now, if you could score a goal
That would be nice.
before 2 days from now, that
She does not have a watch on as she looks at her wrist,
do
and
that
so I just
literally all the time.
feel the need to laugh a little.
Yo,
It's
laugh
fine.
at me all you want. I'm not all that mad.
I hope to God they win again, preferably this season, because
No.
Ovi has a baby. He has a baby. I want cute Cap's babies in the cup, and I want Ovi's baby in the cup.
Will a Gardner baby work for you?
No, I do not have an
Aw.
emotional attachment to the
Jake
Gardner.
Gardner? Yeah, don't. I'm gonna give you a quick piece of life advice. Lucy Gardner is a precious soul.
I
Hank is
love
too
her.
young to do anything. Jake.
Jake. You tried to sell me on him last night, though, for the Rangers.
How?
No! Did I?
Yes, you did.
Yes, you did.
Well,
Like,
yes.
if you needed to sign up,
But
how
let
punch
us
drunk
bunny
we were.
trail to that later. Let Kayla finish.
Yes.
With the cup.
See, there's Joe scolding us back into order again.
I am happy with my team. I recognize that the cup hangover and just the general capsness combining has made the start of the season kind of I never know what they're going to do. They're going to shit the bed. They're going to win things. But I'm happy. They have a cup. First in franchise history. I feel emotional. I'm going to stop talking before I cry.
That escalated quickly.
But you are allowed to be emotional. And
Absolutely.
we have a box of tissues.
In fact, multiple. The other one I think though is in the bedroom, so we'd have to go.
No,
get that,
actually, there's a spare on the cabinet thing.
but- Oh, that's
nice.
convenient. It's a lot closer than the bedroom.
But we're not actually crying. We are happy. We are joyous. We are moving on to other things around the league.
We can definitely do that.
I feel like we could circle back to the Caps won and then got rid of their coach. Let's talk about other coaching shenanigans.
But like the Barry Trotz thing makes sense. Like it's offensive and I get it. Like, how do you not renew him? Because he just got you to a cup. But Trotz also deserves to get paid. He dug through the trenches in Washington for a long time.
Barreled, I love you.
And now he's digging through the trenches in New York. Like,
Yeah.
We have a happy person here with
Shannon is about to lose her mind.
So the Rangers were not great last year, and there was a lot of me screaming about Alain Vigneault and how he's not
Swear
a
to
good
God.
coach.
Swear to God.
It was not good. I do not enjoy Alain Vigneault, but the Rangers did the smart thing and they got rid of him this offseason. And now they have Quinn, is his David Quinn. There we go.
You got there.
Couldn't remember his first name. I almost wanted to say Quinn Hughes, and I was like, that's wrong. Very wrong.
No.
Not unless he's time
He's a
traveling.
baby. But they have Coach David Quinn, who used to coach at Boston University, and now it's a lot better, and the Rangers are actually properly using players. Of course, it doesn't help them.
Not players. It's not plural. Let's call a spade a spade.
It's Kevin Hayes, who is unabashedly my favorite player on the Rangers and in the entire league.
Oh, and we'll get there.
And I'm just very happy that he is playing very well and having a good season. I'm terrified that means the Rangers are not
how
going to
will they pay him?
Yeah, that's... If we're going to not talk about that, we're not going to talk about that. And then...
Just have fun, kids. Cap crunch issues are a later problem.
Yes, that's a problem for the summer. And for right now, we're just going to be cool and okay with the fact that Kevin Hayes is having one of the best seasons of his career. And he's playing very well and being an effective center and actually being used as a center.
Which is the important part, that you have a coach that is building a system around the players.
Yes, I love it. If Henrik Lundqvist could not play so well where we constantly get overtime points, I would enjoy that.
You and Detroit can have a nice long conversation about that.
Oh, yes, we can. We would just like to, have a nice high draft pick this year. Because we did the whole thing of we put the letter out to the fans and we're going to rebuild and it's going to be different and things are going to change around here. And then Henrik Lundqvist goes and plays beautifully like he does, but gets us overtime points, which we don't need.
Speaking of tire fires, though, Ottawa.
Oh my god.
Lord.
I know, right? Like, literally the reaction of all three of you, because I'm four. Honestly, counting is rough. Was, yes, Ottawa. Because one of the things that Dallas was nice enough to present us with, because we're going to jump around a little bit, is the management quote of the year for 2018. And we all came into the season, I think I can speak for all of us when I say we all came into the season going, Ottawa, what the bananas? And here we are, December 29th. There you go. You got a date of recording for this, because this ain't going up till January, kids. So Happy New Year while we're at it. But you've got Montreal and Ottawa that are sitting there going, it's okay. It's okay. We got Tire Fire of the Year on lock. We're good to go. There is no owner out there that could say something dumber than our management has in the last, how many months are in a year? 11 months. Because we're in December and that's the 12th before one of y'all goes, no, there's 12.
I love that you think that I'm paying enough attention to your math to call you out on that.
I'm so glad that you're only zoning in and out to this ramble, because that is true friendship right there. The point is, then
Dallas decided to go hold my beer and my Stetson.
Surprisingly, haven't seen many Stetsons in Dallas. Apparently, gotta go to Fort Worth for that.
No, you gotta go to Pennsylvania.
That escalated quickly. The point of the matter is, Jamie Benn doesn't care. That's the moral of the story.
He don't play for you, CEO. He plays for his teammates.
But the point is also the fact that there are multiple teams that are running for Tire Fire of the Year. And we all thought it was Ottawa. Which, to be fair to Ottawa, like, listen. He called them a lot of bad names that I won't repeat. But Melnick is suing his business partner because he can't get his arena built because he wants the nation's capital is where I was going with that. English is hard. To pay for it, but the government is like, no, we're not going to do the thing. And so now he's throwing a temper tantrum like a 3-year-old, and they are going to ruin Thomas Chabot, which makes me the saddest human on the planet. And yet Chabot's out there going, you can try, but I'm just going to get a lot of points and y'all can stick. I'm still waiting for Brady Tkachuk's first fight. Side note. Entirely unrelated.
He hasn't had one yet?
I don't think so.
He is going to let it age. The anticipation will build. It is like a winemaking process. He's in the barrel. Let him be in the barrel. We will uncork him later.
It's the complete opposite of Maddie then.
But, yes, and, not but, my mother is rolling around in Toronto screaming at me. Keith, Dad, came out and said, yo, Brady is a lot worse than Maddie. Like, honestly, it was Maddie's the better player, but Brady will screw your life. And he hasn't done anything, which is fine because, you know, depending on who you ask, we're in a league that doesn't fight anymore, or we're in a league that
should fight more.
Yes. Which, like, okay, sometimes yes, because sometimes, you know, I mean, Patty yesterday, you know, you hurt Papa Patty, somebody's coming after your butt. The fact that it was Austin Matthews is an entirely different conversation. Please see Connor McDavid OHL handbrake. He punched a wall.
I know, you're making the face at me. I was having a flashback to the dark days and to the stupid... Did anyone else watch
dark days? Like, we gotta narrow this right down. Toronto had some dark days. Canada had some dark days. Like, where are you going with this?
I was referring to... So, for those of you who haven't seen it, there was, like, a 6-episode documentary circling around the Canadian players in the lead up to the 2015 draft called Draft Year or whatever that literally did cover like McDavid's fight, the hand, and the doctor's appointments and like the timeline that they were projecting. And I was having moments of like replaying that scene back in my head. It was very surreal.
The entirety of Canada has cried twice over Connor McDavid. Once when he broke his hand and may or may not play for World Juniors.
Yeah.
And again, when he broke his collarbone and was not going to play for a couple of months on the Oilers. Like, I get that he's still touted as the savior of the Oilers franchise, which, like, let's just leave that alone because that's a podcast on its own. But the entirety of Canada gets behind this dude who, by the way, needs to frickin' shave. Listen, okay?
Lord.
I'm very used to Lou Lamoriello's, like, no facial hair, short hair policy. And for some of the Leafs, I can get behind it, okay? There are a couple of them. The little bit of scruff is doing it for me. Freddie Anderson. We'll come back to that. But then you get, like, Movember. Connor Brown. If there is anything that dissuades you, Joe, from the Gingers, it's the Connor Brown stash of Movember, which was the grossest thing. He did the handlebars on both sides thing. Like, even his family was like, please don't. Please stop. But it's Movember, so even Sid grows that gross fuzzy caterpillar thing he calls facial hair. And
Someone once described it as like either a 70s porn stash or like the mustache of a dude that like your parents warn you about when you're on the playground.
absolutely. And the thing that I can't get, and yet I also wholly understand, is he doesn't care. Like, bless you for growing that dirty of a stash for a cause like that, because it takes some serious cojones to decide, I don't care if this is the grossest thing ever. It's for a cause, so I will do the thing. Meanwhile,
Can't you just be like the rest of us and donate money and feel good about yourself and move on?
You'd think, but then you got to see the Leafs at Sick Kids this year with Morgan Riley eating icing straight out of his bag and Babcock in the background going, "Stay light, Mo." AKA,
great.
stop eating so many cookies.
It was great.
So,
Okay, listen,
you know.
I still get emotionally fucked up over Jack Eichel at Roswell Park. I actually do have a family friend who's getting treatment as an adult there, and it hits me doubly hard.
We're not allowed to talk about it, or Emily will write an entire kid fic.
Do it.
No, Joe gets mad at me when I do it.
Okay, listen.
Maybe next Christmas.
Keep that in mind. Let's just go
Remind
with-
me in August when I start freaking out about it.
Listen, certain hockey players, when they're doing hospital visits, it just hits you for whatever reason harder than others. And so the Leafs, they hit you right in the emotional feels.
Oh my God, Mitchell Marner in any small... No, you know what it is? It's Austin Matthews in the cystic fibrosis unit of sick kids. Have I told you this? Because I tell
I've seen
Shannon
it.
this every other day. And that kind of, like to your point about Jack Eichel, right? And he's got his own charity that works with Roswell Park now.
And it emotionally fucks me up. And fun fact, he's one of those players where I'm like, okay, listen, I'm not sure I ever want to have kids, but like, theoretically, I would have a kid because you seem to really like kids. Like, if you want to raise this kid, I will have the damn kid. Like, that is how into him with kids I am.
That is a different podcast.
That is different, yeah. Because I got a list of those. Yeah, I know that's a problem.
Moving on.
It's a good problem to have. Like, listen, they're like all the charity skates, for example, where you actually get to see how. Actually, what really screwed me up this summer is Zach Hyman went on a book tour. That's Shannon dying for all of you. That is Shannon dying in the corner. Because what is really, really funny about it is it came back during the sick kids thing. Because he's so used to working with kids and he's so used to having conversations with kids. And the way Sick Kids does it is because of the illnesses that certain children have, they can't actually like interact with players in the same way that other kids can, because they have Marley's Place, which is the area in which they do all this. But they also have a therapy clown. And the therapy clown does, which first of all to me is an oxymoron, but that's a phobia coming out. And
I agree with that one.
Yeah. Anyway, not the point. Children like clowns sometimes, I guess. I think she's actually enough of a regular face that it's not a very clown, so it's fine. But they record things and then play them on like the closed circuit Sick Kids Network for the kids that can't be there. So I was going somewhere important with this because it was about the therapy clown and all of them. Zach Hyman, that's where I was. We found it. It's okay. We're fine. And they were doing this cooking thing, and every single time, you know, the clown would ask a question, like Zach Hyman talked to the camera, talked to the kids. So he'd turn and he'd be like, oh, I really love Harry Potter. What about you guys? Do you guys really love Harry Potter? And it's just like, if there is nothing in the world that explodes your ovaries more than shit like that. Like, there's two ends to the whole exploding ovaries, which I feel like is also another podcast, but that's fine. One is, oh my God, kids. And the other one is, honestly, you are too hot for me to handle. And there's really no middle ground.
No.
But yeah, I'm over here just clutching my face and falling more in love with Zach Hyman because I didn't already have a Zach Hyman problem or anything. And then that
He's
story
huge,
happened.
by the way.
Different podcast.
That is
No guy,
actually,
no
for
guy.
the first time, not actually what I meant. I literally meant like tall and wide, not like...
Yeah, that's not how they took it.
No shit, James Bond!
I was gonna say, I know you and Shannon are close. I didn't realize you were that sort of close.
That escalated quickly. I mean, no. Because here's the thing, we have two entirely different tastes. But again, it's a story for another day. This all, God, bunny trails from hell, started with coaches firing. And the actual note that we have down here to cover is the Quenneville firing. Which I know. There is the whole issue around the franchise. And the, what do we want to call them? The issues.
The Chicago-shaped hole?
Well,
What?
the Chicago-shaped hole in our universe, which is very unfortunate because now it's like a Dylan and Chicago-shaped hole, but it's not a black hole, so like Dylan's there, and we're very glad we're done Dylan's story is the moral of that story. And I think I was pretty offended, honestly.
Oh no, it was.
Oh, yeah.
It was a bad decision. Speaking as someone who's from the area, does not follow it that much anymore, but given how the team has not been working, it is not a coaching problem. I mean, it has never been a coaching problem, therefore the firing was idiotic.
I feel like that's an epidemic across the league that we're seeing now.
Yeah.
Because I think
because
Edmonton's another example.
It's what they view as the easy solution.
Okay,
It's
fine.
not
Like,
like
look
a
at
quick
Taylor Hall
turnover.
that's had 6 coaches in 7 years in the league.
Exactly.
what's the
no,
consistency?
we know that
You're not
it's
going
not the
for-
right solution.
But,
But-
systematic overhaul of your front office, which is what Edmonton truly needs to do, because they still have lingering remains of the old boys club that hasn't updated with the game in terms of like who's scouting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That takes time, that takes a dedicated plan, that takes a relationship between owners and the people who are doing the overhaul of the management. And that is not something that Edmonton has in terms of buy-in from the ownership.
Which
And it's not, that's not that. That is, Brendan Shanahan was hired, everybody was fired, and they rebuilt.
Yep.
Right? So, and not everybody needs to rebuild that way. Like, I think there are certain teams like, oh my god, Montreal, can you just fire Bergevin for 5 seconds? Please, 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 please. Except now he's been silent all year, and look at what Montreal's been able to do. And
I
that's
think that
without Galchenyuk, that's with Kotkaniemi, who please do not ruin Kotkaniemi. That's all I want in the world. Carey Price has another injury, which
When was
we're
the last
also
time he was
talking-
healthy for an entire season?
Like 4 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to double
And
check.
even because
Pre-
he got injured in the playoffs against the Rangers.
But it's like that that really bad groin injury that had him out all year. Like he hasn't played a full season since then, and I don't know before that when he played like a full season. I don't know if we count playoffs in
It
that.
might be 13-14 or 14-15.
It might be 14-15 because
14-15.
14 would have been Sochi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
he
like
very married. I sometimes still think about like the PK and the Carey photos on the plane and the Instagram caption and
don't
just
even.
things that emotionally fucked Kayla up round 900.
I mean, at least we're all pretty much on the same page on that. There are certain things that like get sent to the group chat and we all lose our minds. Jack Eichel and kids is one of them actually.
And I routinely yell at Em because
Oh,
she'll
yeah.
send me these things and I'm like, I am not in a place to actually be having a kid, but every time I see Jack Eichel with a kid, I'm like, let's totally have a kid. And
Not yet. You can wait.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
not important.
You hurt my ovaries every time you do that, but I don't want you to stop, and so.
Yo, you think I'm not dragging y'all down with me?
That's M's motto in life.
If I see any picture of Leon Draisaitl, it goes to Laura in 3.5 seconds. And then she hates me for 2.5 seconds until she realizes this is the way she likes to start her day. And then we're fine. Because I get up early and she doesn't. It's a lot like you.
Isn't she also in a different time zone?
Yes
Sometimes.
and no. She is now due to holidays, but she is at UT.
Ah,
So she's actually not even just in my time zone, but literally in my city on a regular basis.
okay.
But my friend Trina, when we were at Carleton together, also did not switch times. So she actually stayed on Edmonton time while she was out there, and that's why morning classes were the bane of her existence. Because 8 a.m. is 6 a.m., and that was not fun for her. But it made more sense in terms of being able to Skype her boyfriend and Skype her family and like actually stay connected to the rest of her life for her to adjust like that. So she just dragged her ass through 8 a.m.s and didn't have them that often. Like that is one of the things that I like low key miss is being able to set your own schedule. So if you know you're not an 8 a.m. person or you know you're not a 6 p.m. person, to not have to do that kind of stuff. I miss that.
That is why I'm liking the graduate program. Because so long as it gets done by the due date, no one cares if I'm doing it at 4 a.m. because I can't sleep.
Yeah, and I think I mean, there are people in Sweden that get up at 4 a.m. to watch hockey games.
Yeah, they also do it in Finland, and then they also run around the town square. I don't think anyone jumped in the fountain whenever Finland won World Juniors, but I love seeing the photos of like them being up at the ass crack of dawn, celebrating.
Last time Finland won, they were hosting. 2016 was.
It might not have been like won the tournament, but there was some big match they won like 2 or 3 years back, and you could literally see it was.
I believe you.
I'm
I'm
trying to
see where
think
it checks out, but
yeah,
like
I'm trying to figure out when the hell this was then, because I don't have Shannon's way with dates or anything.
sometimes she messes them up though,
Yep.
and then I get mad because she always messes up the dates that are important to me.
Thanks.
Well, no, yesterday, talking about Mem Cup, talking about 2016, talking about the World Juniors, and 2015 technically, December 2015, did we post, oh my god, this is where trivia comes in handy. Did Jack go up in December or January?
It went up in January, I do believe. No,
I-
it went up
it
in
was-
December
it was
because there was
December.
another story that went up in January.
Yes.
Because that was when we were posting like 5 stories in 4 months. Or
I don't
something
think
like
Steph
that.
went up in January. Wasn't that the second one?
It might
No,
have been PK.
PK
PK
Carey
Carey.
was the second one.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I can't keep
Okay,
this straight.
no,
like,
it was December
logistics why I'm
23rd.
here.
December 23rd. You guys posted Jack on December 23rd because I remember seeing it go up and then ignore it. I ignored it for like 6 months
That
until
was
issue.
a bad idea. That was a stroke of genius. I don't toot our own horn very often because Joe and I are those authors, and also I think we both have our own hiccups with each story where it's like we could have done this better, we could have done this better. And Jack kind of had a bit of a like 180 halfway through because things happened. So it's a really weird kind of concept. It's like, you know, like
I just remembered because it was like literally the 3-year anniversary of the thing that kicked off Girl Brigade, and I meant to text you guys like congratulations, and then life happened. So congratulations, it's been 3 years of this.
I'm glad what do you remember is because we actually have to calculate it back so often.
I
And
started reading when like 4 fics were posted because I sped read them, and then Dylan got posted, and I wanted to cry when I got that notification.
we must have been, I don't know what the NHL gave us that year, but yeah, no, we've also life. Like, God, I'm so glad to be done school. Holy bananas. It's such a nice break. It's exhausting. But 3 years just seems weird.
It's really surreal to me, but like the only reason I remember is because that's like a year earlier than Shannon and I really started talking, which that means it was like 2 years earlier than whenever the whole group thing happened. So like I do have like a vague timeline in my head.
I could also look it up, but I'm lazy, so I'm gonna trust you.
I know it was December 2015. Whether or not it's December 23rd.
What I remember is taking 2 weeks to edit it. That's what I remember.
Well, yeah, because we had all our holiday stuff going on. Because we wrote it fairly quickly. Because I was in the middle of NaNoWriMo.
Yeah.
But
And it was that time where like everything was, you know, McDavid got injured. There was the whole, like, Jax is probably one of the most solid plot lines in GB. I don't think there's many other, like, the only other one I would argue for is Tyler. The others are, like, the plot is there and it's important and blah, blah, blah. But, like, Carey's
Isn't as informed by
No.
what's happening around them. Like that's more of an insulated, isolated, like
Moments.
And I love that fic for that. Like, that's my favorite part of that one in particular is that it is so soft.
yeah.
actually, no, we posted it December 13th, 2015.
Okay, so
You were 10 days off. Yeah, it was close.
Close.
I mean, I knew it ended in the 3.
Yeah, you got there.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my gosh, no, that was literally a month after my birthday. And I thought about opening it and reading it, but I'm like, no. And then I did other things in my life and I don't know what I was doing.
and you regretted it every day since. I know, it's okay.
Yes. No, I wanted to make a point off of what Kayla was saying about building things up from the ground. And the thing is, if we're talking about Chicago has done that successfully.
Yeah.
And the fact that they think that doing this would help when they already have the model behind them is very short-sighted.
Well,
let us say.
and the other piece of that is how much do you have to work with? In terms of, like, if you want to leave management out of it,
Yeah.
okay, and we'll put the coaching staff into management for the time being just to make one big happy family. What do you have on the ice that you can work with? And not just in terms of like literal players and skill sets, but in terms of pieces that you can move or pieces that you can change or alter. Like one of the big issues with Chicago is how much of their cap is tied up in 5 players.
Yep.
Now, Pittsburgh is the model for being able to work within that cap space. I mean, you've got Malkin, Crosby, and Kessel all making 7 or more, but they're making 7 or more. And this is what I'm saying, right? Letang is another example because you're looking then at what is Jeff Skinner going to get paid? Which is a question for Buffalo because Eichel's getting so much. Reinhart took forever to sign his deal because of that. You get the whole thing too with Tampa. Tampa is the new model where everybody takes a little bit of a haircut to support the skill of the team, which is going to be really interesting with Braden Point because Pointer's up this year. And that's going to be its own adventure in terms of, and I mean, we're going to leave Toronto out of this because I'm sick of talking about cap things just because Mitchell does excellent work on the ice. But when you got even in Keith, right? Like Keith alone, his contract is pretty heavy.
Yeah.
And it's one of the old contracts that you can't really do anything with.
Yeah.
I think it's just another thing to think about in terms of, because when does the current collective bargaining thing expire?
This season,
Okay.
as far as I know.
Really? I thought it was next.
No, the rumor is lockout.
Yeah. And that's the other thing.
It might be 2020. I could be wrong, but
I know it's within the next 2 years,
Yeah.
but I can't remember the exact details. And my thing is that's going to ripple. That's going to change things, and that's part of why you see a lot of these crazy contracts is because people are trying to be lockout proof in terms of getting paid. I'm not
absolutely, which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
That's your July 1st bonus.
Yeah.
The amount of money John Tavares gets paid on July 1st for the next 2 or 3 years is disgusting. Now, it's only rivaled by the money Connor McDavid gets paid July 1st, but that's neither here nor there, because that's your point, right? Is every contract now, yes?
It expires September 15th, 2022.
Oh my god, why did I feel like it was sooner? When are they?
Both the NHLPA and the NHL have the option to opt out of the deal in the 8th year of the agreement. So it was signed in 2013. What's the 8th year? That would be next season.
That's why they're saying a lockout, though, because there's been a lot of,
It would be a 19. It would be a.
So it doesn't
1920
full and
lockout.
expire, but it becomes eligible to. Okay.
renegotiate.
2020 is when 2020, 2021 would be the lockout.
Yeah.
And I think, particularly in the wake of the Olympics, that's going to be a thing. That might,
I think, though, what are we at, 2021? And the Olympics is 2022?
Yeah.
The Hong Kong ones?
Yeah, I think I meant more of just the sentiment created by decision for 2018. Those Olympics might.
I think, but at the same time, I think hockey is one of those what have you done for me lately kind of situations. So if the NHL can figure out the next year or so with the NHLPA and we stop looking at crazy ass contracts and there's a lot of other, they want to make a bunch of other decisions that people are the playoffs. We were talking about that last night where they want to expand the number of teams in the playoffs. And I think that is what's going to put them over the edge in terms of withdrawing more so necessarily than the Olympics, because I'd be interested to know what the closed door conversation is around that, because everybody's they didn't go to South Korea but they'll go to Hong Kong because they want to grow the game in China.
We say that, and I've got some thoughts and feelings on that. I meant more of just hockey, particularly as a sport, and the people who play it, we seem to have these grudges, these rivalries.
Absolutely.
The bad feelings tend to linger a bit longer, and I don't know if it's because we see more people who hang with teams for longer, if we have some other factor of just the type of person who plays high-level hockey also tends to have a long memory of people who fucked them over. And while I don't think it'll be a decision, this is why I'm doing things, I do think it's a tiny little festering seed of why should I work with you? Why should I listen to you? Why should I do anything? I don't know. I think I sometimes am very
speculate regardless.
I think I'm very pessimistic, and I feel we always remember the bad experiences longer than the good. And so I think both the recency of it and then just the intensity of feeling. I don't know.
I think that is true for fans.
I think that's true
But I
for
also
fans.
think there's something to be said though for the players, because how many of them came out of the woodworks when the NHL said they weren't going to the Olympics? That said that they were very upset, they were very mad. They want to play for their national teams. They want to represent their countries. They want to go to the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
And so how many of them are going to be well, we should tie it to the CBA?
And that is obviously an option. I think you're going to have that critical mass.
Yeah.
And it's not just going to be the Russians, right?
No.
Because I think that's where we heard the most vocal.
I mean,
The
we all
Indians were upset too.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying they weren't. I saw your face and I was like, okay, hold that thought. It's the critical, it comes back to they were just more vocal about it. Because McDavid came out and said some very failed, how dare you, which is valid, because the thing that I kept saying, Connor McDavid was born in 1997. He literally has not had an Olympics without the NHL going. So you're telling me you've raised this tiny little Canadian McJesus to the point where he's playing, people, from the day he started in the league, people were it's him and Crosby. How do we decide? And some people were like, well, it's McDavid because he's faster. But then, like, you sit there and you go, okay, it's game 7. You've got a minute left. Who do you put on the ice? And everybody's like, Sidney Crosby. You know, that's where you got to kind of sit there and go, is this what we wanted for these kids when we raised these kids? And there's a bunch of them that don't care because they would never make the Olympic roster in 100 years. Fine. But if you're talking about, like, I mean, I will admit, full honesty, I didn't watch hockey for the Olympics. I watched NHL hockey because I didn't have that connection to the players that were going to play Olympic hockey. And maybe that's a fault of the system in terms of having the NHL as a league and that being our exposure here in North America versus being exposed to the other Swedish leagues and the Finnish leagues and the leagues that are like the KHL and that, where you'd have more of an ability to learn the players. Because that's what I find I'm struggling with World Juniors too, is I don't know a lot of players. And part of that is just not paying as much attention because Mitch Marner is no longer a junior. But some of that is like, I don't know if I care. And I think the other thing is with the drafts recently, a lot of the players that are going early are the Canadians and the Americans.
They are.
So you don't necessarily pay as much attention to the Finnish team because the Finnish team doesn't have that first round pick or they're not talking about it in the same way. And then what do we know? Like, we live in such a little isolated hockey bubble with the exposure we have to hockey.
Then there's me, who's also kind of an NCAA fan, so like with the Olympics, I almost watched a little bit less NHL hockey. And there's also, though, caveat to all of this, I am a massive Olympics person. Like, dream is to go and work for the U.S. Olympic Committee or the International Olympic Committee, so I care a lot about the Olympics. And I watched a little bit more, I think, of the Olympic hockey. Slightly more women's Olympic hockey than men's Olympic hockey.
Women's hockey all the way for the Olympics.
The women's tournament was definitely more interesting to me because of the NHL not going and thus how the men look. But also for me, Team USA, I was excited because you had this mix of retired NHLers or people who were now in the KHL as well as NCAA players, which I was really excited.
AHL, which is part of why I was paying attention to the Olympics because some of my Hershey dudes, well, at that point they were Hershey dudes.
That's interesting because the AHL is part of the NHL system. So how they were allowed to go?
AHL specific deals.
That was
AHL only. They don't have the NHL AHL contract.
Yep,
there it is.
Yeah.
We would get there.
Yeah. We would get there, and I was trying to think because one of them did at one point spend like a year and a half in the KHL. And I'm like, was that the year he did that? I'm like, no, I think that came sooner than later. Trying to keep track of all my Hershey Bears dudes as they grow up and go elsewhere. It's just kind of a pain in the ass.
The only important thing is their teddy bear toss.
That is emotional. That is so fun.
I'm going to the Marlies one next year. I've decided. Yeah. I texted Emily the other day, and I was like, Em, we're going to the teddy bear toss. And she was like, oh, okay. I was like, no, we're going. We're going.
It is so fun. Fair warning, if you sit closer to the glass, you might get hit in the head with a teddy bear, but that's like half
the shame. Not beamed in the head with a teddy bear. I'm so upset. I have two siblings.
I know.
That was my childhood.
Dad spilled his beer because he got hit in the head.
Pro tip, don't drink at hockey games. Wait. For a lot of people, that's what you do.
That's what we have baseball for. Baseball is sunshine and sitting around drinking.
It absolutely is, and yet the number of times I have seen people sacrifice to catch a ball. And not even, beer is one thing, food is one thing. I've seen people baby under the arm going for the ball, and you're like, what is more important to you? You're going to give your infant a concussion. Needless to say, there aren't just crazy hockey fans out there. There are just crazy fans out there.
I mean, they say fan comes from fanatic.
And understandably so.
The point was more of just, I tend to be very heavily Olympic exposed, so.
But that's good, because I think you got, and we talked about this. Mm-hmm. Oh, this was before you got here. Sorry, no, I just remembered.
This is what happens when you show up 8 hours late. Everyone's
Shannon and I legit debated whether or not the World Juniors was played on international sized ice.
Oh, yeah.
And putting aside whether it is or not, because that's not relevant to the discussion, it is that thing though, because the Olympics don't play on the North American ice, if I remember correctly. And so it is always interesting to watch them play on the bigger ice, full stop, whether that's Worlds or it's the Olympics or any other international tournament. Like, it's just interesting to see them play on the bigger ice because they're not used to it. And I think that you get into the discussion of how that gives skill guys a little bit more space, and that's so... And then you get into the whole debate of North American versus European hockey, which is different.
Goalies and no trapezoids, no Martin Brodeur rule.
Okay, listen. It leaves. You put it back. You put it back. Garrett Sparks went for a walk last night, and I lost my bloody mind. Put it back. We're looking at you, Flower.
I think one of the important things is just, as you said, how we're socialized to hockey. And I think one of the more interesting things is you grew up in Toronto, right?
Absolutely.
So that was how you were socialized to hockey.
And then I moved to Ottawa, so I was socialized not to hockey. Actually, I didn't grow up a hockey fan. I mean, my family watched it because...
Yeah.
And then the Leafs went to shit, and my family is a bunch of bag-and-wanders. Whoa.
That better stay in the pod.
Bandwagoners. Wow. This is okay. We're making more coffee after this. In the sense of, I think when the Leafs really started to tank, like my grandfather and my dad stopped watching. And so, like, we'd put Hockey Night in Canada on, but it was never, like, it wasn't a religious, we need to sit and watch the hockey.
And I think that was a slight difference of born in DC, we did a few years down there, but then when we moved to a region where it was much easier to get to the Hershey Bears, who are the Caps farm team. And so I think part of how I was socialized, because we were as likely to go for a Bears game as for a Caps game, is that I've been socialized to kind of track the whole system, which is part of why World Juniors excites me in terms of these guys either have been drafted, might be drafted, or they're in the potential baby stages. And so I want to see who impresses me, who I'm going to track through.
Absolutely.
And I think...
How do you think I found Mitch Marner?
Yeah, I know. But my point is more of just, like, when you were first introduced to hockey, you were introduced to it at, like, the top level of NHL.
Yes.
And whether or not they were good at that level is not relevant.
No.
The relevant point is, like, this is the peak level. Whereas I've been socialized a bit more to, like, watch the process grow, watch people move back and
Which
forth.
is funny you should say that, because when I watch football, the very rare time that I watch American football, and I saw that, I prefer watching the college games because they're trying harder, because there's more at stake for them, and I think that's what I've really liked. That's what I really liked about Trevor Moore, who was just called up to the Leafs because Ennis is broken. And a big piece of that was the tenacity, the workhorse. This bro, okay? They ran out of defensemen. So Trevor Moore, who is a forward, played defense. I know.
Ooh, I didn't
Listen,
know this.
the mark of a good system is you win the Calder Cup and then you suck the bottom of the league. Because all of your players have moved up, to your point, right? You actually get to see the progression of skill. And that takes us all the way back to the development conversation that we just touched on when we were talking about the coaching changes. And I think that comes back to, you know, people talk about Pittsburgh as the exact model of how to build a team in this day and age, be it skill, be it cap. Because what you're getting is the Hershey Bears. Like, did I get that right? No, I'm thinking of Wilkes-Barre. I found it. I fixed it.
So you're talking about the Wilkes-Barre.
I'm talking about Wilkes-Barre. But that's the model, right? Is you've got your key players that do the key work. And we come back to the Dylan Strome conversation that we've had a couple of times since he was traded. And that is, it's amazing what you get when you put some of these players on a line with players that can do work. And part of that is the culture of the organization. Because I think that does, like, for all everybody is pissed off at the Penguins and we hate them and or love them, like, whatever your opinion is on the franchise, you gotta give them credit in terms of being able to build a roster and a culture in that locker room of bringing everybody up, right? Like you bring the babies in, the babies get adopted, The babies get trained. The babies do well. Gensel just signed a 6-year deal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where would Sherry be if it weren't for his year on Crosby's line?
Sherry?
And he's
Are we
Say
back
that
to
again?
Sherry.
no,
Sherry?
yeah.
Oh, God.
It was a whole thing. When he got traded to Buffalo, he was like, "Yeah, no, that's not how you pronounce it."
Oh, I missed
Yeah,
that. Whoops.
I'm fairly certain. We can ask the Buffalo
It's been-
broadcasters.
It's been a long ass year, and that was honestly one of the more tame headlines come out of hockey. So it took me a minute.
What's really funny about that? Tavares came out when he got signed to the Leafs because I guess somebody asked him, and it's not Tavares, it's Tavares, and so now it's a whole thing.
Because his family is from
Portugal.
Portugal. Yep, I was about to say like there's a Hispanic speaking.
Yeah,
country.
like ages in it, like.
But it comes-
He's from Oakville.
Yes, but
Yeah,
there's
like-
there are families who will keep that traditional pronunciation of the name and they don't want to go to the.
Well, and it would be a very John
And-
Tavares thing to decide that when he was drafted to the a U.S. team at 18 years old, not to say squat.
Right.
Because then you get the
John
Marchand debate, where he came out last year or something like that, 2 seasons ago, and he said, I would prefer it pronounced Marchand, which is the hard, right? And you know, we've been pronouncing it Marchand for 100 years. So,
Bradley, I love you. You're kind of a dick.
I'm a Leafs fan. He can go fuck himself. No, that is not wholly true. I always have to qualify this. If he were on my team, I'd love him. I have one of him. His name is Nazem Kadri. And he is a quality human off the ice. Like, I'm sorry, some of the work that he's done, at least social media wise, in terms of advocacy, like, I'll take it every day. Brad Marchand, though! Patrice Bergeron, I can only love. And apparently, Chara's Instagram is the most inspirational thing since
It is
The Rock.
so wholesome.
amazing.
It is so wholesome, and he needs to post another picture of him with birds, because every so often he'll just like be like with pigeons, and I just feel.
No, that's accurate. I also appreciate the trail off sentence there that you just feel. There's no description for the feeling, it just exists.
It's not like happiness or joy, but it's also not a negative emotion. It's just like a pleasant emotion to see a very tall man who tries to learn many languages, who tries to bring up a team of decent humans, just communing with birds.
That is true.
Like, I don't want to call it full-on serenity, because it never lasts long enough for me to call it serenity, but like, there's a sense of calm
Yes.
that it gives me to see him with pigeons and other birds.
I feel like if he started meditating on a live stream, I'd have to do the same.
Yeah. I don't know. This is
I would take his yoga class.
Yeah.
He probably teaches one.
He probably does. I mean, every time I hear Chara doing something, I'm like, dude, I love you.
Just keep being you.
He's honestly one of the dudes where I'm like, I can't wait to see what you do after hockey, because hockey takes up so much of your time and schedule. But I respect that you want to continue playing for as long as you can.
I don't think he'll do anything. Like, I think he'll go home
I know.
and live his
mountain
wholesome
cabin.
life.
He will raise his children.
Actually, you know what, though? He's said multiple times he frickin' loves Boston. So he might not go anywhere.
Yeah. I want to know that somewhere out there's a tall gentleman learning languages, having a real estate license, just living his best life.
He's that person that just gets bored and goes and does something else. Like, picks up a new skill. Next thing we know, it'll be like, yeah, I released an album. And you'll be like, what?
You know what I want?
And yet
I want a
sometimes
cooking
you're
show.
like, yes.
No. A lot of people have been saying that part of the reason he's
Can
been...
Connor McDavid go on that cooking show?
No, I don't want it competitive. I just want it soothing. I want it like the
Yes,
classic...
but he needs to learn. He just plays hockey.
I will cook for the dumbass child.
I would also like Margaret Matthews to go on that show just so that I can figure out what their abilities are.
It's not good.
Okay, you know what I really want?
Either that or I want the password to their Skip the Dishes account. It might be Uber Eats. I don't know.
But no, you know what I would love? So Epicurious does a series where they'll challenge like 50 people to do a basic cooking thing. Like, cut a pineapple. Mm-hmm. Make a martini.
I would fail that one.
Slice a watermelon. Like, it's really basic. A lot of times it's just how do you prepare this food in a very basic way. Like, how do you fry an egg? Mm-hmm. And I would love to challenge hockey players to some of the skills they have. I'm like, I'm not going to make you do the coconut one, because none of you can afford to risk your hands, your eyes, and various other body parts. But I want to know, if I asked them to go from like a whole lemon, could they get me a tablespoon of lemon juice?
Some of them probably, some of them no way in hell.
I know.
It would depend, I think, because the grillers might be able to do it.
True that.
Girl dads, yes.
But, like,
I also want to know, like,
Jack Eichel and Sam Reinhart got checked up on all last year because they wanted to make sure that they didn't burn down the kitchen.
which, like, I feel
I want to say it was Bogo, but I don't think so.
it was McCabe.
No, it was
Bless
McCabe.
your soul.
Again, my interest in Jack Eichel. I'm not one of those people who follows multiple teams. I can barely keep up with the Caps, but I do for a variety of reasons that generally amount to I'm emotionally projecting onto Jack Eichel. I do keep tabs on him.
Sometimes I feel his curls are unfortunate. And sometimes he grows this thing.
Listen, from an aesthetic standpoint, I just go, honey, what are you doing? But, like, legitimately,
He's built like a brick shit house.
I know. I kind of want to climb him.
Different podcast! I didn't say it this time. I just gave her the rope and she hung herself. Going on record right now. Thank you.
I never said I had good taste.
I didn't account for your taste at all. In fact, I think
wasn't
Joe's
gonna judge
point
on that
is
one, 'cause
we
I-
absolutely jumped into an entirely different podcast there for 3.5 seconds. The other couple that I think, I mean, we could talk about Gritty, but that we've had multiple conversations about Gritty. What I think is really interesting, I would argue, and I am not an expert on this by any extent of the imagination, but Gritty is the embodiment of the Philly that everybody loves.
Yes.
A little bit wacky, a little bit out there, absolutely ready to cut a bitch in 2.5 seconds.
As somebody who has lived in Philadelphia for 4 years, yes.
Also, his Twitter is fire,
Yes.
Wait,
and there's,
There's a Twitter.
oh honey, Gritty's
Oh my gosh. Pittsburgh tried to make some comments about his looks, like, within the first, like, 2 weeks of his creation, and he's just like, sleep with one eye open, bird. And I'm like, I feel I feel that on a spiritual level. So, Gritty actually has a resolution from the Philadelphia City Council. Like, legitimately, this is a thing that was done by City Council.
Okay.
It's a delight.
But that's been what everybody's talked about in terms of the love for Gritty. Everybody's like, why do you love this freaking thing? And it's like, because he's ours, and you will not touch him. And then he tackled a bunch of Santas. Actually, my favorite is when Philly was in Toronto, the Sportsnet color commentators were unimpressed that Gritty was not there. Okay? Like, they were all, we gotta find Gritty, we gotta know what he's up to, what's Gritty doing. So, Philadelphia, God bless your heart and soul, they got Gritty on FaceTime with Kyle Bukauskas. With signs and everything, and it must have been a Hockey Night in Canada game, because there was even a point where it was like, hi Kyle, and that was one of his signs that he had, and so like the color commentators lost their minds, like Kyle got a shout out from Gritty, and like Kyle Bukauskas is not my favorite Sportsnet reporter, but like, I gotta give him that.
Mm-hmm. He got interviewed by Time Magazine.
Gritty?
Yes.
Yeah, we're living in that
I think
time.
my favorite thing is just like his response to what's your favorite Thanksgiving side dish? Simple. Boat of gravy with a straw. He then repeats it for a handful of other questions. Very insistently. Boat of gravy with a straw. Like,
Got it. Things that are written into his contract as requirements when he shows up to professional things. Photo shoot, boat of gravy with straw. Okay, no flyer goes to the All-Star game, just Gritty.
I'm okay with it.
you know what? I want Gritty and Obi, and I want just like a drunken video.
Oh,
What?
Gritty and Obi would be amazing.
Someone put
No
me-
players, just mascots. You know why? I want to see Gritty take out the Edmonton Lynx.
Oh, yeah, that thing is creepy as hell.
And I like the Oilers, except this year where they're pooping all over the bed and ruining Connor McDavid. Oh my god. And, like, he got Draisaitl a boatload of money, and you can argue till the cows come home that that's not true, but tell me what Draisaitl's been able to do on his own line without McDavid. And I understand chemistry. I get it, okay? But the Leafs don't put Marner and Matthews on the same line. They've been begging to play on the same line for 2 seasons, and Babs is like, no. Do not overvalue goal scorers at the expense of playmakers, please and thank you. That is a hill I will die on. In this essay, I will. I could probably literally write an essay on it, actually.
I'm just sometimes having feelings because I've been somewhat spoiled in terms of Caps backing Obi. Yes, consistently play together. but also when you split them up, they do hold their own.
Yeah.
And that's the important differential. But I sometimes fear that other teams don't routinely have, like, arguably their 2 franchise dudes. Just kind of.
But then why? Because to your point, it works there. It works in Pittsburgh, too.
Yeah.
You can put Malkin and Crosby together. You can tape them apart. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah. And it doesn't feel like a nuclear option, because what you were saying about Matthews and Marner.
They use it as a nuclear option, which I don't think they need to, unless
Yeah.
it's an accidental line change.
Meanwhile, my DC parents are just routinely doing old married couple things.
Oh
Like,
my
there's
god,
usually-
it's disgusting. I'm so offended.
It's
Honestly.
It makes you believe in, like, a higher power.
It makes you believe in something. Something that is warm and fuzzy. Whatever you want to call that. Because I think that's the point, right? Like, the teams that get the cult followings are not always the teams, at least in fandom, like, let's be straight up, because there are teams that get the following because the players, or they can actually do the hockey.
Mm-hmm.
But you stick with them for a reason, right? There's a reason people stuck with the Leafs through thick and thin when they pooped the bed. Connor Bound's grandpa deserves better, okay?
I just really want to mention the All-Star rosters and the captains, mostly because from the moment that I saw who the captains were, I was like, it's Ovi and Team North America, and we are getting the camp reunion of my dreams, and I am very excited.
Oh, we got that last year, though, with Austin Matthews and Jack Eichel.
But now there's more.
I mean, I'm not.
We've gone from like a cabin reunion to like a full camp reunion.
Maybe. Like, I don't know. I don't, like...
We'll see.
How do you all-star roster?
You throw darts at names and
A
hope to
little
God.
bit.
No.
Yeah. A little bit. Like, you
This
say
year's gonna
that,
be
but
hard.
Pacific alone, who do you take? You've got 11 players. Connor McDavid is one of them. Who are your freaking goalies? Is it Quick out, or is he healthy again? Because he's another one of those goalies that's, like, injured and not. Back and forth and back and
I think
forth.
he's still injured?
Because you're not sending Talbot,
No.
right? Like, who the heck? Who do you have? Flower?
Flower.
Oh, there we go. Never mind.
Okay,
All
see-
is solved.
I just feel like we should go back to like the name your captains, send a group of people, and draft, and whatever happens, happens. Why are you hitting me?
Because
that's what I want.
exactly what she wants. Literally,
Let
every time we
Ovi
talk
get
about,
drunk.
literally every time we talk about the All-Star game, between Joe and Shannon, the draft comes up.
That was such a delight, and I just think about Alex Ovechkin not getting the car that he wanted. This is his 10th year, and I just...
They should have him do the commentary, though.
Oh my god.
If PK Subban is not at this All-Star game to do the commentary, I will be unhappy.
I mean, he's just
He's no
coming
Tyler
back from-
Sagan saying shit on national
Sorry for
television
swearing,
and
Canada.
apologizing to Canada, but like, yeah, but that's the whole reason. If he's injured, you invite him to put him up in the booth.
Okay.
All-Star
He's coming
reporter.
back. He's coming back. He got activated off of IR.
Yeah, just in time for the All-Star game. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. PK Subban
Does
cares
he get to
about
bring
two
Lizzie
things.
on?
Fun and the All-Star game. The All-Star game is like PK Subban's bread and butter, though.
It is.
Like, you get to show off, you get to be flashy, you get to, and that includes on the ice. Like, how do I say this without making everybody yell and scream at me? He is a more skilled, better trained, less panicky Jake Gardner. I had to think about that. I had to go through, because he does a lot of the same things that Gardner does. He just doesn't usually do good Jake and bad Jake in the same shift. Like, he tends to be a little bit more aware if he's going to go into a pinch that there's somebody there. So he makes plays that used to drive fucknuts up the wall. Who was the coach that year? I don't like him. He's French. And I don't, it's not that I don't like him because it's, him! That one. It comes back to that whole discussion though. What's his name doing good things with the Rangers? Using
Kevin
the players
Hayes.
appropriately. No,
David
coach.
Quinn.
David
Yeah,
Quinn.
that one.
Yeah, we pulled him out of the college realm because we're like...
Shocker!
The college
I need to
coach-
know which team is going to hire Sheldon Keefe and when I need to start mourning. He's the Marlies head coach.
Mm-hmm.
But, if Dubas has his way, maybe he won't ever get rehired and Babs will end up losing one of his assistants and look, there's a Sheldon Keefe and then we'll keep him in the system, much like we train our players. Now we're training our coaches. It's fine. We have a whole system. It's great. Listen, just y'all should be glad you're not part of the text message thread with me and Joe, because the number of like small little things I just toss at her sometimes. I'm like, so Jeff Skinner, and she's like, yes, and I'm like, we should ship him, and Joe goes, oh no.
I can imagine that happening.
I've done it with a couple. I've done it with Jeff.
I thought we were on the.
You've done it with Skinner
quest.
several times.
Yeah, I'm really into the idea of Skinner in one of our universes. Who's the other one? Yamamoto. There it is. And now that exists in Closer, so you're welcome.
I love that one.
I gotta do that Aho Turbo. Like, it's like 3 sentences in, and I'm so frustrated. I'm so frustrated. Freddie Anderson is the other one.
Yes.
You know, honestly, I'm just on a general campaign to hear Joe say, yes, I love Freddie, shut up.
At this point, it's a pride thing. It's just never going to happen.
Which is fine. Just be aware that this will be an ongoing thing. Because it turns out we're both super stubborn about dumb shit.
Oh wow, I never would have guessed that.
Go sit in your corner, young lady, honestly. No, that's a valid point.
You know what? Now
Tom
that
needs
you
to go back
brought
to
up
Sin
GB,
Bin
do
from
you
when she
think we
was
should
born.
maybe segue into
Yeah.
GB? Okay.
Well, we should.
We
I
should.
mean, the only thing that's happened since GB is, not since GB. What the frickin' bananas am I smoking today?
I don't know, but
Clarissa is the only thing that has been super posted since
But let's ask, our two,
Guest
not
speakers?
our two guest speakers. What did you think of Clarissa?
I loved it. I love her.
I had feelings, particularly because Joe and I have talked about various K-pop and K-drama things, and so to see those references,
She did yell at me a lot in our individual
there was
thread.
If
there
you
was
ever have a group like this, make sure you have individual threads.
Oh my
like,
God.
Pro tip. My God.
So there are a lot of feelings. I think that was one of the things where, like, I would not have on my own come up with that pairing, but also, like, I trust you guys to make the case that, like,
How did we get there?
Yeah,
How
that
did
is
you
how I
get
want it.
there?
I want to know that.
I feel like we got there because Sam Reinhart is wholesome.
Pretty much. Because there have never been any interactions that we know of, but we were like, when it comes to who she'll be with,
I think that's one of the things I appreciate is,
I mean,
like, the McEichel I could get behind and I could see immediately even before I started reading. But when you guys posted that, I'm like, okay, never considered this, but I trust you guys to make a strong case.
I mean, listen, Kayla, if you've been with me since Bleach, you know that I will take a crack ship and I will run with it.
It just cracks
And
me
I
up.
will make people believe in it.
That, and I don't mean this to toot our own horns, because I think it is going to in a very roundabout way, because I find that just in the fandom in general, is there are those authors that can convince you that the pairing is real, even if it's literally the most out there thing you've ever read in your life.
God, who was the one who wrote, it was like, Apeka Rene, Hillary Knight.
Oh my God!
Oh, yeah.
Like, I had a moment where, like,
You're sitting there and you're like, seriously? And then you read it and you're like, oh,
I see
okay.
Like, but I want it now.
Yeah, like there's that one
my
for
God.
sure.
so, like, there are people in fandom who can do that and who,
Well, the funny part is fandom newbies who go, but they haven't spoken. And you go,
Oh, honey. Yeah, you're new here.
we can find ways.
Were you
Gosh.
around in the lemon days? No, seriously. And I should have conceivably had this conversation with Joe before I went and did it, but I actually went and did a tag replacer for NSFW because Tumblr has changed its terms and conditions, and somehow that includes interesting things. I tag replaced NSFW, and I can't remember what I did replace it with because I had an existential crisis moment of if I tag it lemon and people for some reason are tracking a lemons tag, that's going to be either a really unfortunate wake-up call or an unfortunate flashback. So I don't remember. I think it was like 4-letter word for lemons is the tag now.
okay.
I'll have to figure it out. I don't remember. But the whole flashback to lemons and people going, what is a lemon? And it's like, oh my
Yeah,
God.
I reblogged a few of those myself, and, like, I did have a trip down memory lane, which I'm glad we're having this conversation now because later we'll get to a thing about our general fandom history. But
We're just gonna talk about lemons all day.
I mean, I do really appreciate a good lemon. In all senses of the word lemon.
That was well played. I'm actually a little proud of that.
That was a good one.
That was excellently done. Perfectly veiled. Absolutely more than one definition.
I have my moments. Like I said, a broken clock is right twice a day.
So that is for us the end. A quick note at the end, we will tell you just so that you are aware, because it might feel like there's a distinct difference between two pieces of this podcast. We had the fire alarm go off in the middle of the fire alarm of the Airbnb we're staying at. We are safe. It's fine. Though you're going to hear about this long after we're back. So maybe if Emily remembers or Joe can remind her to make a post of some sort that we are safe and alive. So we apologize for any distinct differences, and if that does affect your listening, because I'm Canadian and I apologize for literally everything. We do hope you have enjoyed this podcast. We do hope that you will come back and visit us again soon. I do not know when this podcast is going to go up. I'm hoping halfway through January, at least, if not earlier. So hopefully you will get it a lot earlier. And who knows, we might have another surprise for you in store later. Thank you for listening, and we hope you guys are doing awesome.
Bye-bye.